And it's 5 o'clock. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting of October the 18th, the City of Rohnert Park. My name is Gerard Giudice. I am your current mayor. Madam Clerk, will you kindly call the roll?
Councilmember Adams?
Here.
Councilmember Elwart?
Here.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Here.
Vice Mayor Sanborn?
Here.
Mayor Giudice?
Present.
Thank you.
Would you please all rise for the land acknowledgement and then salute to the flag? The City of Rohnert Park acknowledges indigenous peoples as the traditional stewards of the land. Let it be acknowledged that the City of Rohnert Park is located within the traditional homelands of the Federated Indians of Great and Rancheria, comprised of Coast Miwok and Southern Pomo peoples. Former council member and Vice Mayor Willie Linares, will you lead us in the pledge, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, in addition to our normal dais this evening, we have Mr. Mike Biddle here, filling in for Michelle Kenyon, and our well wishes go out to Michelle, and we hope to see her soon. We will start with a presentation, Mayor's recognition honoring Steve Hummel for his courageous and compassionate act of protecting a Walmart employee. Is Steve here? He is. Good. Thank you. Okay. Certificate of recognition honoring Steve Hummel. People who wear caps often embody attributes like heroism, courage, and a sense of mystery or power. They also display a higher level of self-awareness, appreciation for detail and elegance, and a refusal to blend in. Historically, capes have been associated with status, nobility, and practicality. In modern contexts, they can signify personal style or a specific belief system. Steve Hummel is not the sort of guy you think is hiding under a cape under his clothes. As a matter of fact, he is the dictionary definition of a mild-mannered man. But on January 20th, 2025, while Steve and his wife, Kathy, were shopping in Rohnert Park, the heroism associated with cape wearing was on full display. What began as an ordinary afternoon quickly turned into a moment of crisis when a violent assault occurred inside a local Walmart store. Without hesitation or concern for his own safety, Steve intervened to protect an employee who was being brutally attacked. Acting with remarkable courage, Steve subdued the assailant and, while being sprayed in his face with bear spray, prevented further harm. His swift and selfless actions enabled the injured employee to receive life-saving medical attention and likely prevented a more severe tragedy. The City of Rohnert Park proudly recognizes Steve Hummel for his bravery, his compassion, and decisive action in the face of danger. His heroic response reflects the very best of our community spirit. It serves as an inspiring example of courage and humanity. On this 18th day of November 2025, the Mayor and the City Council hereby thank Steve Hummel for his bravery and recognize him as an honorary citizen in the City of Rohnert Park. And we're going to allow the council members, actually we're going to allow you to come on up and say a few words, Steve. And I just wanted to point out that the plaque in the lobby that bears the names of all the honorary citizens in the City of Rohnert Park will now have Steve's name as well added to it. Steve, we are grateful and welcome.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. Just a week before that awful attack, my wife had serious brain surgery. We had adopted a kitten to comfort her during recovery, so we went to Walmart to buy cat food and toys. When the screaming started, we were on separate aisles. While trying to find me, she inhaled a lungful of bear spray from the attacker. She was sick the rest of the night, lost consciousness, fell, and broke her ankle. She had 2 surgeries, 2 metal plates, 13 screws in her head, 7 in her ankle, and nearly 10 months later, she still uses a walker. If you want to talk about bravery, you look at her. I'll be honest, I was hesitant to come here tonight. I didn't run and tackle the assailant for recognition. I did it because someone desperately needed help. A large man, clearly not in his right mind, punched an employee, knocking him to the ground, and was stomping on his head, fracturing his skull. Things this severe are rare, thank God. But I hope this reminds us to watch out for one another and for those who have the ability to help in situations should. Thank you for this honor.
Thank you, sir. And I'll turn to my colleagues for further comments, and then we'd like to take a picture with you, Steve, if that's okay.
Steve and Kathy must be very proud of your husband. Thank you very much for letting us honor you. I think it's very important that we recognize extraordinary good works because it sets the high bar for other people to reach for. Thank you.
Please.
It is rare to find someone that's actually do a right thing. When Councilmember Adams brought your name and what was happening and what you did, without hesitation, I supported that, so as the entire council. Bravery, it's not just about being young. Bravery, it's at all time, at all cost, and what you did was really bravery, and I am so honored to finally meet you because that happened in my district, and I am really thrilled that you got that courage to finally come and be recognized the way you should. Thank you.
Please.
I think this is a testament not only of bravery, but the importance of community and taking care of one another, right? Those are scary situations, and we know there's, what is it, fight, freeze, and fawn now. So you never know how you're gonna react, and we all might have these scenarios and say, oh, I would totally do that. And then you get there and you don't know, or you say, oh, I would never do that, and then you get there and you do. And so knowing that you saw that situation and just acted so selflessly is beyond commendable, and again, important on how much our community kind of stood by as well to help out as our first responders are able to respond. And so doing so and putting yourself at risk is something that I think is not taken for granted, and that the community sees and that acknowledges, and it starts with what you do at home and how you take care of your neighbors and talk to your neighbors. So thank you so much for your bravery and for caring about just even another human and stepping in for help.
Vice Mayor?
Yeah, Steve, I just want to thank you and Kathy so much for, I'm sure it's been a really hard year. It sounds like the recovery itself was more traumatic than the incident. And I'm sure that emotionally that took a lot. And I just want to say thank you for putting others above yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to echo my colleague's remarks. You know, in Rotary, we have an expression, service above self. And that was the ultimate expression of service above self. We appreciate you, we applaud you and your wife, and we'd like to get you up here for a little photograph if we can, please. Thank you. She started. before we move on, I'd like to thank Councilmember Adams for bringing this to our attention. We really appreciate it. Now we'd like to welcome Vanessa Mendoza, Vice President of External Affairs from Sonoma State University, to provide an update. Good evening, Vanessa. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Well, good evening, council members, and thank you for the opportunity to provide an update on behalf of Sonoma State University. I'd like to start with some important news regarding our student resources. Following recent concerns about potential reductions to CalFresh interim benefits, we are pleased to share that the issue has been resolved and benefits have been restored to normal. Our student applications for CalFresh remain consistent, and students are still being approved and using this resource on campus. We have been able to provide stability and food resources for students, as well as continuing to monitor any developments that may affect access moving forward. In addition to progress on student support programs, this week is also a significant moment in campus leadership. The CSU Board of Trustees held their plenary session over the past week, and they are voting on the next president of Sonoma State University. A formal announcement is expected by the end of the week. This transition will set the tone for the university's direction in the coming years, and we will keep the council updated as more information becomes available. As our campus leadership changes are unfolding, the academic rhythm on campus is shifting as well. Students are moving into finals mode, and with the spring semester approaching, I wanted to share an update on my availability. Due to my academic commitments, I am unable to attend city council meetings in person during the spring. However, I will remain in close communication with the city, and a member of my task force will proceed at meetings to deliver updates on behalf of Sonoma State and continue strengthening the connection between student leadership and the city. With finals underway and the fall semester coming to a close, we appreciate the council's continued support and partnership with our campus community, and thank you for your time and collaboration.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Questions or comments from the council?
Thank you very much for coming, and I'm so glad you got the CalFresh problem taken care of. That was a big concern to us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Council member?
Yeah, you see how excited I got and start clapping. Always like to see our SSCU representative here because that indicates how our relationship is still going strong. When it comes to you not being able to come here during the spring, it's okay. School come first, right? And we understand that and really supportive of your education and everything you do.
Thank you.
Council member?
I'm just proud of all the students at SSU. I know it's been a lot of things out of the whole student body's control, and then you're still focusing on your studies and coming and making your announcements here to the city. And so I look forward to continued partnership, and I'm really excited to hear how your spring semester goes and your commitment to your academic affairs as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
We really appreciate you being here for the time that you have been here and appreciate that you are sending someone to continue the good work.
Yes, good luck with your studies, and thank you for keeping us informed. And just another quick shout out to the legislature and CSU for providing more than $90 million of funding to make sure that Sonoma State University is on a steady track to recovery. We look forward to you welcoming your new president soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we will now go to our presentation, an informational report by Senior Analyst Kevin King regarding evaluating the City of Rohnert Parks forming a special finance district and potential implementation. Mr. King, good evening.
As we get upset up here. Good evening. Mayor Giudice, Vice Mayor Sanborn, Council Members Rodriguez, Elward, and Adams. How are you today? I'm here to talk about the city evaluating the City of Rohnert Park forming a special finance district and potential implementation. What that means is this discussion is going to form a lot around what's called an enhanced infrastructure financing district, so an EIFD. So I'm going to try to, this topic can go deep in a lot of different ways, so I'm going to try to keep it real high level and kind of for the purposes of today and kind of the next step that you're going to see coming for you in March. So an EFID is a special financing district that raises funds using TIF. EFIDs were allowed to be formed under a 2014 California law. The idea was they were born out of the redevelopment agents dissolving in 2012 under state law. And the basic idea of an EFID is to form a district, a physical area around the city that then we can then use special property tax dollars to then fund projects for that district, specifically in infrastructure. So, terms of these can be 10, 20, 30, or 45 years, so they're not, they don't exist in perpetuity. And again, purpose is to form for infrastructure projects. So let's start. Perfect. I think if there's two slides in here that I think are going to be relevant and really what I want you to kind of walk away with today. This is the first one. These are the key terms around an EFID. So the first is TIF, a TIF incremental financing district. In essence, a TIFs operate they freeze property tax revenues at a given year, a base year, and then over subsequent years, the revenue or the tax increment that is derived from the properties within the district can then be used towards infrastructure projects. So TIF is basically the funding mechanism of an EFID. The second element here I would want you to know about is the infrastructure financing plan. This is the document that outlines the specific projects that will be funded to benefit the EFID. If TIF is the funding, the IFP is the plan we'll put together to say this is what we're going to fund in the EFID or for the EFID. And then lastly, the PFA, the Public Finance Authority. They oversee the creation and the implementation of the plan. They're made up of at least 5 members. It's a public body, just like this one. For that body, there's 3 electeds on that PFA, 2 community members. And what the PFA does is they issue bonds based on the TIF revenue received towards projects identified in the IFP. So to walk that back, the PFA is the authority that uses the plan that references the funding to fund infrastructure for the EFID. This slide kind of talks to how a TIF generates revenue. So the entire triangle there is, if the x-axis is time, the y-axis is the property value and the tax derived from that property value. Important for people to note that in California, tax increase year over year is fairly limited, about 1% based on state law. But there's 2 ways that tax can kind of come in, new tax can come into a property, which is that annual increase from the state and sales, property sales increases the tax revenue, the property value, and thus the tax of a given property. So how this works, if you're looking at it, everything in the green is the total tax. Everything in the blue is what everything in the orange is what the EFID would take out for a short duration of time from that tax. And everything in blue is what the tax is set at the base year. So no tax is lost from those things currently being funded. It's just, some of it's just diverted into this TIF. And then after a set period of time, 10, 20, 30, 45 years, all of that tax revenue goes back to what it was prior to the EFID being formed. Project types that the EFID can fund, the state law basically has 2 requirements. That is, it needs to show that it can provide a community-wide benefit and have a useful life of 15 years for that project to be funded using this method. I put these into basically 5 categories, general infrastructure that we think about, water, roads, highways, streets, et cetera. Public facilities like libraries, things that a municipality would own or operate. Public good facilities, affordable housing and childcare facilities can be used. Funds can be used to build up those. Recreation, parks, open space, and then brownfield improvements and other environmental mitigation. Important to note in terms of the projects don't need to be within the districts themselves. They just need to show that they provide a benefit to the district as they are outlined. This is other considerations that the city is looking at as we kind of move forward through the process. The big ones here is more or less that an EFID, normally when we think of districts, we tend to think of them as like one big contiguous area. EFIDs can actually be patchwork areas, so you can have a few properties over here, a few properties over there, but ultimately they form one district that we're pulling all of that TIF from. The second is that the revenue generated from the TIF can be banked over several years. We don't have to spend it each year. We can, hold it for several years and kind of wait to deploy it at specific times. And then the main one here is about deadlines for how to form an EFID. By August of a given year, you need to have the IFP completed into the assessor's office. That sets your base year. And then by December, you need to have it to the state who approves the IFP and the PFA to kind of set when you can start issuing bonds for the TIF, for the EFID. And then lastly, it's good to note for us, Sonoma County has an EFID policy in place, so that helps to help cities and municipalities form them. These are just a list of other types of financial benefit districts. So we're going to be, I'll get into the RFP process of who we've hired to kind of start this analysis. As that person does the analysis of an EFID, they're going to look at these other types of financial benefit districts, and if any of them are appropriate for the city, where they can be appropriate. Okay, so that's an EFID in 5 minutes. It's way more complex than that. I'm trying to keep it very high level here. But I want to get into the history of the RFP, who we selected, and why we selected, how this whole process came about in Rohnert Park. So we've been kind of talking about this for years, pretty much since I started 2 years ago, like how can we form one, what's it look like, et cetera. And really, one of the things what makes them hard to form is they're cost prohibitive. It costs about $250,000 at least to just go from formation, from IFP to PFA. That's $150,000 for a contractor to do the work, and about another $100K for like surveying work, to help to assist with the assessor's office. And so it's very cost prohibitive. It's $250,000, $250,000 is nothing to seize that for, maybe not a lot in terms of what we would get back. So we've been looking for a long time of how do we share that cost, how do we bring that cost number down, and fortunately, while we were reviewing it, the city of Cotati last December said, hey, we're also interested in forming an AFID, and they brought it to their council. Similar presentation of I just did for you just now, and as soon as I saw that presentation, I called them up and said, can we do a cost sharing method towards this to get that 250 down to maybe 125 each. And they said, that's a great idea, let's do it. So from that point on, we started to look at collaboration on an EFID, specifically how we can share in the costs in the formation. So now I'm just going to briefly go into kind of the areas we highlighted as being the ones for each of our cities to form. So for Rohnert Park, an EFID would most likely be one of these or all three of these areas. So that's in the upper left corner, the DDAS, the downtown site, and the adjacent properties. On the bottom, that is Southwest Boulevard, so the Southwest Boulevard Shopping Center and the kind of corridor that leads to it from the roundabout. And then the one on the right is the Central Rohnert Park PDA plus the Rogers Center. That's that little thing at the top there. These are just areas that have been identified in past plans of just areas needing of redevelopment, hence why it was easy for us to forward it on to the analysis and put in the RFP as one for which we'd like to consider for an EFID. It does not have to be one of these, it can be all three of these or more. I'll get into that. For Cotati, these are the areas Cotati is looking at for their EFIDs. That left picture, that little rectangle is their train site, the surrounding properties. That area on the left of that left picture is their downtown going all the way up until 101. Picture on the right is the Gravenstein corridor. That's 101 points west on the 116. So Lowe's, if you know where Lowe's is in that area. So yeah, once we got Cotati and us in a room, we decided, this is the process we took for vendor selection. Basically, we put the RFP out there last September, got our 4 submissions back. There's not a lot of EFID analysts or companies in the state. There's about, I want to say, less than a dozen, and we put it out to all that we could find. Got 4 submissions back. Immediately recognized that 2 submittals kind of jumped to the top of the list, called their references, and then internally Rohnert Park and Cotati discussed it and had a kind of a finals two list. And after more discussion, we realized that Cosmont was the top of that list. Cosmont Companies has kind of made their milk and honey for the last decade forming EFIDs, if I'm being frank. They're the reason they were selected. They have formed or helped form 22 of the active 34 EFIDs in California. They have a sister company that can assist with the bonding capability, so they can assist there in terms of assistance or analysis. They have experience working in Sonoma County. They are the ones who are contracted in Sebastopol, and then they worked specifically for the County of Sonoma for the EFID that was formed in Santa Rosa. So they have experience with the Sonoma County officials as well. If I'm not mistaken, they might have even helped assist in creating that EFID policy that the county utilizes. And then I mentioned two slides that I wanted to make sure you guys memorized for this discussion. The first was the terminology, and then this is the timeline and cost. So how an EFID gets formed is essentially three phases. Phase one's listed as implementation there, but I would call that fact-finding. More or less what happens in that first phase is Cosmont will review all the districts, will look at any kind of major projects that they believe or we tell them to look at in terms of funding. They'll identify the economic development opportunities, determine the feasibility of it, they'll create a roadmap. And at the end of that first phase, we come back to you as council and say, here are some options. Which way would you like to go? If you say no EFID, we don't think that's a good idea, then all we're out is $23,530. That's the cost to just do the analysis. So like I said before, we've been kind of batting this idea around the city for a long time, and frankly, we just didn't have the detailed information we need in Rohnert Park to like figure out how to move forward, if we should move forward with this. That is what phase one is, okay? So phase one will get completed. We'll come back here. You tell us if you want one or not. And then there'll be some decisions that need to be made where if it's a no, it's a no. But if it's a yes, it's do we form it with Cotati? What's the county's participation in that? How do we form it with Cotati? Do we want to just do it with them, or does each city do it on their own? There's going to be a lot of information and routes that this process could take based upon what the information is going to be provided to you then. But if you say yes at that point, we move on to phase 2 and 3. Phase 2 and 3 are a package deal. Phase 2 is essentially forming the IFB. Phase 3 is essentially forming and approving the PFA. And there's a cost breakdown there at the bottom in terms of like how much this would cost to the city for the Cosmont contract. So again, stop at phase 1, it's only $23K. If we form one district with Cotati, that is a PFA that contains Cotati, Rohnert Park, and county members, that's about $70K. If we do two districts, that is Rohnert Park does one, Cotati does one, then it would cost us roughly $90,000 to us. So that's the cost consideration. That cost is only for Cosmont. There's an additional $100K total for all that surveying work. So that's a big one. I'd probably ask you to revisit that if you have time in the future. But yeah. That's it. That's all I have on that. I'm sure you have any questions. I know I went through that very quickly, and I'm sure there's a lot of questions you might have.
Absolutely, and thank you for the presentation, and I'm sure the staff report on this could have been 40 pages long, so we appreciate the truncated version. I will turn to my colleagues for questions or comments. Please.
Kevin, thank you very much. That was a pretty fast but thorough introduction. I would be interested in having a little more information fleshed out.
Yeah.
I'm mostly interested in what is our return on the investment. We're going to invest $250,000 or part of that. What is the maximum amount we might get back? And
that's part of what the analysis will do in that phase 1 is to figure that out, how much participation we would be involved with, how much participation the Cotati would be involved with, and the county. What I would say is that in forming the EFID, we can recoup costs using the PFA. So if using the TIF, using the financing from forming it, that can recoup costs back to formation. So if we spend 125, 200, or 250K or more, you can use that first, you know, when the PFA forms from that first meeting or one of those first hearings is paying back the cities for forming the PFA itself. So you can recoup it. It's just a lot of upfront costs that we'd have to go through first.
So if we do end up putting out the $250,000, we could conceivably get the entire $250,000 back?
I believe so, yeah. What I've been told from talking to Cosmont and some of the other people in this field, yes.
Okay.
So.
And then from today, this looks great. Let's sort of start inching forward. What's the timeline for this?
Timeline for this is to try to get the entire thing formed, the IFP approved by July, or IFP approved by August, and have the PFA to the state by first week of December. So that would mean essentially the first 3 months. So the first 3 months, Cosmont's doing the analysis of like how much tax we can get back, what's the revenues look like, what participation is needed, et cetera, et cetera. April to June is creating the IFP, and that would be a meeting we'd have here and say what projects, and what projects do you have in mind? And I want to be clear, like it's not just existing infrastructure; it can be new. So, for example, in Santa Rosa, the sports complex they talk about, they are using their EFID to as potential financing for that sports complex. Potentially, that's not guaranteed, but they could use it. It's in their IFP plan. So that's the main thing to remember is we'll come back to you and say, what's something that should or can be built here? What should we start putting as like a giant bulleted list in that IFP to make sure future generations who are funding these can fund them or consider using the EFID to fund them?
So can you just go back to that one slide where you had the y-axis and the...
Yeah.
So just to be clear,
Yeah.
in order for us to figure out that amount that is equaled in that orange slot, let's say it's $5 million.
Yeah.
We need to pay the company to determine that. We can't gather that information ourselves.
Unfortunately not. Yeah, we just don't have the expertise.
Okay.
I've tried. I'm not. I defer to the experts there.
I think that's smart, actually. Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions.
Councilmember, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I'm a little bit hesitant.
Yeah, of course.
It's a great idea, but for me, until I see the result, then I believe in it. And especially right now with all the budget and the finance and everything that is going on around us, I am a little bit skeptical. I mean, I know the work that Cosmont has done, but not knowing the result, I am a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
Because we will have to spend before we see the result. And it's not guaranteed that that is going to work. And the fact that already we went through a brutal budget session and everything, I don't know. And so did Cosmont explain to how our constituents are going to be involved in this? Because it's all about them. And when we talk about property taxes, that's another thing that a lot of people will be talking about.
Yeah. They have not talked to constituents. That is part of that fact-finding component, that phase one component. It's not just them looking at a map and saying, here are the districts, here's the tax you can get. A big element of that is on us, and it's frankly on them and us to reach out to, let's say, property owners. It's going to be on me to contact all the property owners in Rohnert Park. On their side, potentially contact the county, be a conduit with the county to say, you know, what's the benefit here, and to even reach out and get their opinion on it. The property tax here is for commercial, so it's not, if this doesn't impact the areas we've identified, it's meant to exclude residential. It's meant to be for the commercial sites only. So if there's any you know, if there's anybody who's incredibly reticent for any reason, you know, like I said, the EFID doesn't have to be contiguous. You can make it Swiss cheese if you really want to. And so if there's someone who is in there who was like, no, thank you, I mean, we'd have to relay that information to Cosmont and see if they can pull that project or property out. But yeah, I hear your concern. Until I see some proper analysis done by them, that's where we're at, is we just don't know. It's a giant question mark, and that's what phase one's gonna be about for us, is figuring out if this is appropriate. It might not be. I'll be frank, it might not be. But we just need to know, and it's important for us to know to see if we can try to figure out other ways to unlock tax dollars to put to use to build out the city.
Yeah, and so the reason I was asking that question, because we already seen too with our TOT how
Right.
it was really hard for us to get that money from those businesses, some. So how are we gonna be sure that that's not gonna be the case with what we're trying to do here? I'm just thinking out loud because
Yeah, of course.
it is my main concern. I don't want us to be caught up. It's a great idea, don't get me wrong, but I just want to make sure how this is going to be perceived as well.
I don't know, frankly. In Santa Rosa, it was kind of a shrug when I was working there. That's how it was received, but now there's more information on it. I don't know. And again, I go back to, we just have a giant gap on if this thing can even work here. And we have to just figure that out. That's part of what we're doing, is trying to just figure that out. And that's what I hope to find in the next 3 months, so that I can come back to you in 3 months, give you information in terms of what that could look like, what that tax roll could look like. And if it looks poor, then yeah, I would, you know, I rely on your judgment on what you're seeing in that analysis, and to figure out a way if it moves forward or not.
Okay, because Santa Rosa is a bigger city, like it's what, three times bigger than our city?
They are, their EFID is an area of their downtown, so it's mostly like south of College. I'm remembering the space right. South of College, west of Sonoma Avenue, essentially the downtown core, a little bit over Highway 101, a little north towards like College, and a little south, I want to say, towards the 12. So it's a fairly large area, and it's an area that needs a lot of revitalization, and that's why they went this route. That's why they explored it, is that it was a need to fund revitalization projects, and that's why they chose this. Similar path here for us. We have potentially a catalyst site coming if the downtown is built. There's going to be a lot of revitalization and kind of catalyst site infrastructure needs that might come behind that. I'm not saying this is the be-all, end-all, but this is a potential solution to help, you know, set aside funding for that coming revitalization.
Have you looked into the same project but that have been done in city our size, for example?
Sebastopol is considering one, but that's on city and county land. I looked at I called a couple in Southern California, but it's a little bit different infrastructure need down there. You know, they're just, you know, you're a small city surrounded by large cities everywhere in Southern California. So in terms of our size, I would say in terms of our size and Cotati size, you know, there's similar size cities. EFIDs get employed in a lot of different ways. Sometimes they're county only. Sometimes they're not even property tax, they're sales tax. So there's a lot of different ways to deploy this, and I understand the questioning. But in terms of, if I've looked at similar cities, each city is kind of its own unique thing. And so it's really hard to say like, well, Torrance did this or Carson City did this. So because they're 50,000 people, they're going to have a similar need as us. They're just completely different in terms of their infrastructure and how they operate.
It's an exciting project. I'm looking forward to more information to kind of get a grip of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate all the questions because, yeah, it's like a big, it's kind of a big idea, so.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember, please.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin, for the presentation. I would appreciate the fact-finding, because then we know more, learn more, and can make decisions once it's time for decision. What I do want to clarify on is,
Yeah.
so you said it could, so it's commercial real estate, could benefit other projects that don't necessarily have to be in the district. And
Correct,
so,
yeah.
And I'm looking at Southwest Boulevard, so in theory, this could potentially help with our sound wall issue all the way down Southwest Boulevard.
Theoretically, yeah, yeah, that's the idea. If it's a wall that's going to, if it's a sound barrier, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little safety concern for us out there in District 1, and I'll use any chance I get to bring it up. And then in terms of, when I'm looking at this map and kind of the property owners of those, since it's commercial real estate, many of them own it outright. And so I guess that would be my biggest question, is that if they're owning these outright and then go, no, I don't want to participate, how much money did we spend to be told, no, I don't want to participate? And where does that leave us? Kind of similar, like I would like to know that in the fact finding a little bit more return on investment, right? There's a benefit when you own it outright. There's sometimes tax write-offs and you don't have to worry about the rest.
Yeah, I think in terms of the tax roll, it's not supposed to really impact any tax that they would pay on their property. It's more or less where that dollar goes once it's filtered through the county and kind of like more broadly.
Okay, so this would allow us to essentially get back funds from when it goes to the county.
Correct,
Bring it back to Rohnert Park, because that seems to be a theme that we've talked at the dais here of our residents pay, and then we don't really see a lot coming back in many different forms from the county. So this kind of has more of that
Yeah,
structure.
That's the hope, and that requires the county to participate in this. They would have to buy in, obviously. But yes, the idea is to unlock a couple dollars that would normally flow to the county, try to pull them back into the city specifically.
Okay, and then just based on, like, if we were to do this, let's say without the city of Cotati, we are split, and I'm pretty sure these 3 areas, we have 2 county supervisors.
Correct.
Rohnert Park does. We're unique. And so when we're saying 3 elected officials and the county is a part of that, is that being brought into consideration of who would represent the county that way? Which one of our 2 representatives? Yeah.
So how the PFA works, it can be 5-member. Santa Rosa's is 7-member, just to be aware, just so you're aware. So it doesn't have to be 5. But how that works is the PFA itself decides essentially who is on its own board. So for a 5-member PFA, I would expect 1 Cotati, 1 Rohnert Park, 1 county, if it was a 5-member board, and then 2 community members, 1 Cotati, 1 Rohnert Park, that the county would agree to. If it was ourselves, that 5-member board looks a lot different. It's a little more of a challenge because the 3 electeds it would be 2-1, right? Mm-hmm. So we would probably look at the Santa Rosa model, which did 7, 2 city, 2 county, 3 community members, to try to keep it as evenly split as possible in terms of representation.
Okay, and then how do community members, how do we get them on there? Or is it going to be an appointee? Is it by application? Do they have to?
Yeah, it would be the same as like a board commission or any kind of other board or city commission. The PFA itself, you and the county would be deciding on that together. So those community members, again, it's going to depend on makeup. So it might be this board chooses 1, county chooses 1, and then you agree on 1. Or if it's only 2 community members, Cotati picks 1, we pick 1, and then the county has to bless those. It really is a lot to be kind of negotiated as the process moves forward. Like I said, there's really a lot of directions this thing can go. Okay. So, yeah.
Do you know of any places that have done, like, maybe they don't take the community seat, but like a youth advisory? I mean, we just had somebody present from Sonoma State. They live here too. A lot of youth are going to live here for a long time and are going to deal
Yeah.
with the 20, 30, 40. Has that, do you know of any that have considered that or brought you?
I haven't. What I've heard or discovered in my calls and asking around, generally the community members tend to be the property owners. In fact, one person told me that the property owner didn't even live in the city. They just owned the property, and thus they were on the PFA by virtue of owning the property in the city. So it can really be, there really is a lot of leeway in terms of forming the PFA and who you want on that board or on that authority, yeah.
Okay, I think that's it for now. We don't know what we don't know, so I'm curious to see the fact finding and appreciate the very detailed but condensed and digestible presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yes, thank you for taking us to EFID school. That was some heavy reading. I do want to also emphasize my appreciation for your collaboration with the City of Cotati. You know, we've been really making an effort, especially in recent years, to bring them into our conversations and partner with them more. And I feel like this is a great example of the more you talk to each other, the more you realize you're all working on the same things. So I love the efficiencies gained in trying to fact find together. A couple questions.
Yeah.
One, just for our considerations, how do we decide what areas to include or exclude? I know you have the recommended 3 potential areas, not just what to include in the EFID, but the beneficiaries, the benefiting projects. I don't know how to decide what to factor in.
So I just took the PDA, that's for the first part, the Central Rohnert Park PDA, and then add the Rogers Center just because of the property there, is the commercial property that was nearest it. Similar with the DDAS. With Southwest Boulevard, that was identified in the general plan, or it's identified in the general plan update as an area that needs infrastructure improvement or revitalization. So that's where that came from. Tried to form that line to be on the commercial only and not on the residential portion of that area. And that was pretty much it. I mean, those were identified areas within our planning documents, and so that's where we started. If there's additional areas, I'm happy to pass that on to Cosmont and see if there's any area you're looking at specifically that are like, this area needs revitalization, or?
No, I agree they all do, and all part of the existing plan. I just wanted to know. And then also, how was the cost share determined between Cotati and Rohnert Park? Is it per acre of land or number of businesses? How do you decide, what portion of Cosmont's fees go to each?
Either or. So you can decide it off of acreage, or you can decide it off of current property value. Cotati's land, I mean, yeah, it's their downtown, but that east corridor, that 116 corridor, is a lot of vacant land over in that area, so it's not going to have a ton of value. How participation occurs in terms of the TIF and in terms of each municipality involved can be negotiated. So it doesn't have to be a third each or a split or whatever. And not only does that not have to be an even split, it can be changed over time. So in San Joaquin Valley, they have an EFID that's 4 jurisdictions, the water department, the county, and 2 cities. And every 10 years, the split changes. It's heavily favored towards county and water in the first decade, and then slowly dissipates more towards the cities in the subsequent decades, to be then even by the 4th decade, if I'm not mistaken. So how we split with Cotati can be negotiated. I would anticipate it being a formula based on current property value and acreage. That's what Cosmont has kind of suggested at this phase of it.
Great. And then my last question was, what kind of factors might we consider as we ponder the duration of the FID?
The one thing I would say is that in terms of an actual major city project being funded, it's really not going to be for about 5 years. And a lot of that has to do with the tax increment needing to get to a value or get to a number that's really worthwhile to fund a major project. So yeah, this thing might get formed next year or January 2027. It's really not going to be until 2032 that we're like, all right, money's in the bank, let's go fund this project. So
do we pick our duration up front, or do we decided after we've seen
Oh.
how it's going?
In terms of like the total, oh, I'm sorry, yeah. In terms of the duration of the existence of the PFA, the majority of them are 45 years, just so that they can
Get some money.
just so they can lock in that full value and maximize it, and so that that nobody working today can kind of like benefit in the future or kind of like see the future of it. But we can pick, whatever your preference is. When I come back in March, you might say we only want it for 10 years, and that's where we'll have to negotiate with county and Cotati on, so.
Great. Well, those were all of my questions, and I love fact-finding. It really helps me make good decisions, so thank you for continuing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin, for your presentation, and I would like to echo the Vice Mayor's comments and some of the other comments from the dais as well. Now that, redevelopment agencies have gone the way of the dodo, this potentially gives us another tool to deal with, blight or infrastructure in our town. The slide on the right, which is the entire priority development area, and then, of course, top left is the amenities district, what is the downtown. We're going to talk about that later tonight. But the addition of the Roberts Lake and the Park and Ride was a really wise, smart move. I think this council started several years ago an investment in District 1, and it started with the roundabout at $1.8 million, continued with the Complete Streets project at $3.5. So it's been another, $5.3 million over the last 5 years that we've invested. Long overdue. There's more work to be done there. So that project definitely speaks to my heart, and it'll be very interesting to see how the numbers play out as we progress. I'm definitely in favor of the fact-finding and gathering all the data because this might be a very effective tool that we can use. Kudos to, to working with Cotati, and I think one of my colleagues commented that we're kind of in a renaissance with our cooperative agreements with Cotati and working so closely with them. And so you are to be applauded, and we'll wait and see what happens in the springtime.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everyone. Appreciate it.
Okay, we'll go with public comment now. That's persons wishing to address the council on an item that is not on the agenda. Mr. Steve Keith, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and staff.
Is it on? It is?
Yes, it's on.
Okay.
During the last two council meetings, the subject of discretion has been discussed as it pertains to building codes and code abatement. After public comments, I was encouraged to share my notes on discretion with the city attorney. However, I did not reach out to the city attorney because I am not her client. I am a constituent of this council, and my redress should be here in this forum. My want is to inspire discussion among the elected officials on the dais. I encourage respectful debate over matters of policy between council and staff. Having such discourse gives constituents valuable insight to the governance of our city. Exchanging private emails with an attorney that is under no obligation to correspond or report does not serve the public dialogue. I feel that it is important for you to discuss this matter here and as soon as possible. You may ask, why should we even talk about discretion? Well, discretion is a trait of judging wisely and objectively. Wisdom is a trait of utilizing knowledge as influenced by experience. This is particularly important in code abatement and how it is enforced in our city. When I hear knowledge and experience, I immediately think of training and experience. The training a code enforcement officer receives to effectively execute their duties, and the experience gained from managing several, often tense, neighborhood conflicts. While code abatement officers are allowed to exercise limited self-initiated actions, the majority of the residential enforcement relies on the discretion of ordinary members of public. Ordinary people with little to no knowledge of codes and are often motivated to gain the upper hand in a private dispute. Unfortunately, such neighbor-neighbor disputes have not been taken into account historically here without clear direction of policy from the council for this city manager and future city managers to administer. We risk the continued unequal commission of the ordinances that you enact. I encourage members of this council to explore public nuisance versus private nuisance as they consider policy on this matter. I had discussed that concept with Director Ali Judici. Unfortunately, she's no longer employed by the city, I believe. That the frequent turnovers experienced by that department only highlight the need for a foundation of policy that would weather a recurrent changeover of staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Mr. Peter Alexander. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve Hummel's heroic response, encouraging courage. This brother vaulted to rescue one being assaulted, and we're all being assaulted. From my lips to God's ear, I'd rather hear Carlos Santana's Abraxas than as we all withhold our property taxes. And I'm going to say some harsh things, but I want to say there are some constitutionally based attorneys that are thumbs up. Poetry in perilous times, with direction for insurrection and ending all crimes. No kings, no rule by nobility, to this I agree. Millions holding signs, chanting no kings. I won't be ruled by nobility, my heart and spirit sings. Let us be clear, as I am the seer acknowledging indigenous lands does require we abide indigenous law, as in the extricated 13th Amendment, disallowing any title of nobility, esquires, to serve in any public office, okay? Yeshua stated, to be as gods, act as gods, never more misled and psychologically contained as dogmatically indoctrinated silly sods. Yes, indeed. Shall we now finally treat each other as royal, growing our own food in organically enhanced living soil? So many more turning away from the corporate store, Goddess Sophia having whispered in your ear, touching the spirit at the core. In the land, Luther Burbank exclaimed and Cactus Pete supported, yes, through spiritual birth, the very best place on earth to grow veggies and fruits, as for so long reported. To never be ruled by corrupted nobility as agreed by millions of opinions. So now together let us now forever sever from usurious bankers' influence by the British attorney registered nobility esquire maggot-motivated minions. For they rule the House and the Senate in D.C. Yes, these bar-lying lawyers posing as Republicans or Democrats. Finally now do you see? I am Peter, I'm the brother with the keys. To these thieving warmongering rascals, get now off your knees, as now you comprehend, so saith Peter. The authority of Christ commands, you each be the leader. For your every son and daughter, let them walk on water as the 40-day freeze frame opens the door, forever ending the slaughterhouse war. Students walking out of every school till all bar lawyers are out of every judgeship and political rule. Arise as one, shining as the sun, as all evil, greedy corruptions are sure to run. All time is now, and now is the time. It is done. No more taxes or mortgages to warmongering banks. Then let us turn to each other and smile to each other, be giving true thanks. Aho.
Thank you. John McIntyre, please. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you very much. John McIntyre, Rohnert Park resident. Right now, I just want to say thank you. I honestly want to say thank you for the work that you do. Anybody can say and sit over here on my side of the street and just say, you know, throw rocks and say this is how you should do it, but you guys are actually up there doing it. To lead a city, to lead in anything, especially when you all have full-time jobs. This is like a part-time gig for you, yet you're here to run the city. And I appreciate it. I just want to say thank you for that. You also have a fantastic team. City Manager Marcella, thank you so much for your team. I experienced how great they are myself when I had to go through this a year and a half ago or so. My house caught on fire. We were lucky that I actually had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work because I went out and saw the fire and start with the hose myself before the firefighters got there. But that for us was a horrific experience. And then when the insurance company got involved and told us that it's going to take a long time before you're back in the house, probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And what the holdup is going to be was permits, the city, and contractors. That's going to be your issue. For us, we got good union contractors to come in and rebuild my house. That did a fantastic job. Every time I came to the city for anything, the city were fantastic. If there's anybody here that works for the city, I thank you. My family thanks you every week, every day, because of the work that you did, because of the leadership we have, because of who you are, Marcella. And thank you for your team. Every time we came in for any permit question, because there was many questions, anytime I had a question on the water or billing or anything, you know, the city were patient with me. I didn't come in screaming and demanding anything. I came in with, what do I do next? And they took me by the hand and said, okay, here's where we go. Every time. So it wasn't just partial. I can't come in and say for 50% of the time you did this or 75%. For me, it was 100%. From my family, it was 100%. So again, thank you for what you do. You lead a city that I love, that I live in. You've got a great team in place. The city staff, again, I cannot thank you enough. You do a fantastic job. Keep it up. You do have people out there that really do appreciate you. So you might not hear that enough. I hope you do. But from this citizen of Rohnert Park, my family thanks you, my street thanks you, my block thanks you, and God dang it, the whole city should thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. Any other one care to make public comment on an item that's not on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Any of my colleagues need to pull or make a remark on an item on the consent calendar? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll motion to approve the consent calendar.
Okay. Does
I
that
will
have a
second that.
Okay, it has a first and a second. And we'll do a vote of affirmation. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries 5-0 with no opposition.
Thank you.
Okay, let's get on to the first item of business, which is what I suspect a lot of people are here for. And consider approving a preliminary stage plan and term sheet and negotiation matters related to the exclusive agreement to negotiate between the City of Rohnert Park and CenterCal Properties, LLC, a Delaware limited liability company. May we have the staff report, Madam City Manager?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, council members, members of the public. You know, I want to start off, I know we just heard a big thank you to our staff and obviously to the community. I just want to say also a big thank you for the patience in looking at this project and coming to the point where we're going to see it happen. And so I'm excited to be able to be in this stage, which starts the development of the disposition and development agreement for our future downtown site. This is a major milestone that we are reaching with the presentation of this preliminary stage term sheet and the draft conceptual plan. And I borrowed the headline back on October 23rd of 2024 when we first brought to you the selection and also the recommendation to do the exclusive negotiating agreement with CenterCal. And the way this was highlighted was that it's a once-in-a-century decision, which it truly is. And I know we have the right partner. I know we have a community that is very interested in seeing what gets developed there. And I know that we have a developer that is listening and very willing to deliver what we said we wanted to do in this community. So I'm excited that we're in this stage, and I will start with this term sheet presentation. A big thank you to our staff, Kevin, obviously our city attorney, and all of the departments that touch a project like this, because it is all of us working together to make this project a reality. So giving you a timeline of how this project has started, where are we in terms of this project? So on March 22nd of 2019, the city adopted the Priority Development Area Plan and the final environmental impact report for the 6400 State Farm Drive property, which is the future downtown site. Some of these terms you heard earlier with the presentation that Mr. King provided as part of the Enhanced Infrastructure District. We created the Downtown District Amenity Zone, which includes the property and parcels immediately adjacent, so the DDAS was established. Then in November 27 of 2018, the city adopted an ordinance establishing the form-based zoning within this area to be consistent with the DDAS. And so the form-based code basically indicates that there's a certain type of development that we're looking for within the downtown area and what's within the DDAS. In April, May of 2022, the city purchases the State Farm Drive property with the hopes and the desire and the goal to have a downtown site. On April 14th of 2023, the staff works with the California Department of Housing and Community Development to start the Surplus Land Act determination process to declare the property exempt under surplus land. And this would allow the first step for the city to be able to dispose of this land. So we started that in April of 2023, and eventually we're able to get that clearance from the state. From November 1st, 2023 to January 18th, 2024, we issued a request for qualifications so that we could select a developer that could meet the goal of the development for the downtown site. And in turn, we ended up selecting from a rigorous process that we went through for this request of qualifications, CenterCal. On August 1st, 2024, the state publishes new guidelines for the Surplus Land Act, and we had to update the request for qualifications as it related to the Surplus Land Act, which basically, in essence, required that as part of this development, we concurrently do the affordable housing, and which in this case means that we have to concurrently develop the affordable housing project with the retail development. On August 27 of 2024, we again select CenterCal Properties LLC. And then we enter in October with an exclusive agreement to negotiate with CenterCal. And of course, in October, we have our deadline to do this term sheet that is being presented to you now for consideration. So this is the timeline. Yes, and so even though we did have the deadline of October to bring the term sheet, we did bring before you an extension so that we can have until the end of this of the year, but obviously we're bringing it to you now for clarification. Thank you to our city attorney. So in summary, what are the terms of this term sheet, and what are we wanting to see as we move forward with the disposition and development agreement? And when you look at these various bullet points, these are all the elements that were included in the request for qualifications. So now what we're simply doing is we're bringing them forward with this term sheet so that we can continue our negotiations with the developer to proceed on how we are going to bring these elements to the site. So first we have 300 to 450 urban-style residential dwelling units that we want to see constructed in the downtown site. And based on the Surplus Land Act requirements, we have to restrict at least 25% of those housing units as affordable to lower income households. And again, this is very important as a state requirement because the city does own the property and we have to meet this requirement. We're also looking at anywhere from 100 to 160 key boutique hotel, upscale hotel, that's also included as part of the project. We requested anywhere from 65 to 160,000 square feet of retail development, and of course asking CenterCal to make reasonable efforts to create a mix of unique blend of non-chain merchants and restaurants, and also targeting regional businesses and national brands. We're also asking them to build an approximately 1 acre green space downtown square or plaza. And I would like to highlight that one of the elements that's important for us here is that we are basically asking to have use of that plaza in perpetuity for any kind of city community event at no cost to the city. This supports, of course, our larger program community events, as well as passive and active recreational activities that we want to do. And one of the important terms here is that this downtown square plaza be built on the first phase of that development. So as they're building the retail, as they're building the housing, it's important that they also build this plaza. We are also asking for a walkable, bikeable element as part of the development. And we are, and I will get into the site plan right now, but there is also a southern parcel that is included in the project that, again, based on additional negotiations we're going to have, it can either be used as a public park or any other type of green space. Now, within that area on the southern parcel, there's a 50-year-old water line that services the site and also services our public works site and also a housing complex on Enterprise Drive. So this is one of our oldest water lines that we have, and that is set for replacement by the city. Then we also are, as part of the acquisition of the site when it was purchased by the city in 2022, we are also keeping, for our expansion of our Public Works Corporation yard, approximately 1.5, possibly up to 2 acres of property so that we can expand our needs in terms of our corporation yard. And then the term sheet also includes, of course, the purchase price and the replacement, relocation of the 50-year-old city water line. And we also included that we wanted to have sustainable elements. We didn't include it here specifically, but it is required of the project that we also incorporate public art, and we also included local workforce protections. And we also, in accordance with the Metropolitan Transportation Commission policies, we are looking and analyzing the on-site and off-site parking requirements for the commercial and residential uses within the site. So this is, in essence, the summary of the major terms, again, that are going to go and be reflected in the disposition and development agreement. So and there's been several versions of this site plan, as you can see, and based on just preliminary feedback from our staff. But right now, in essence, what you see on the northern part of the site, the retail is being concentrated on the northern part of the site. And then you see to the east is the hotel, which is in purple, very close proximity to the Smart Line. And then on the southern portion of the site, you have the residential concentrated. And you can see, so our Public Works yard, which is basically facing Enterprise Drive, you see to the north of the site, the area that the city is keeping to, again, expand the corporation yard. So this is the preliminary layout of what CenterCal is proposing and how they propose to lay out. Now, it's important to mention that there's going to be several community outreach meetings that we're going to hold with the public, and the intention is to, as they continue developing the site plan and looking and preparing concept plans, that we get the input from our community, and we will make sure that we notice when those community meetings will be held so that we invite, obviously, members of our community to attend and provide feedback. So this right now is what we're currently working with. So some preliminary comments on the site plan is we're looking at completing a consistency analysis. I know I mentioned that there was an environmental impact report that was completed. However, as the site plan continues evolving, it is important that we study traffic, noise, air quality, and other elements so that we can determine what are potential impacts of the project. We also have provided feedback to CenterCal that it's important that we look at the view, and I'm going to go back here. As you can see, facing Rohnert Park Expressway, we see the concentration of the parking, so we're asking CenterCal to look at ways where they can beautify the area along Rohnert Park Expressway, so that way we know we need parking at the site, but it is important that we try to beautify that area along the expressway and try to, I guess not disguise or eliminate, but just make it a really nice, inviting entry point to the site. Then there was some concerns by our fire, our public safety department related to fire, which Center Cal has taken into consideration, and basically what those are is just being able to, in the event of an emergency, being able to access the various buildings. So those were some preliminary comments. And of course, we know that we have a very aggressive timeline to complete some of the required city reviews and approvals, and of course, our staff will be very conscientious of those timelines, but we are looking at a very aggressive timeline in terms of this project. So here, again, these are very preliminary renderings that you see here. As the project evolves and as we continue getting comments, these will change, but this is preliminary renderings that Center Cal has developed. You see that here is an example of what the plaza will look like, and obviously being surrounded by the retail development, and so this is just an example of how the project will be developed. So we mentioned one of the major requirements of the Surplus Land Act is that we integrate the affordable housing requirement to the project. So the way that this can be achieved, given the new requirements of the Surplus Land Act, is that the affordable housing has to be built in conjunction with the retail. And so what we have and what Center Cal is proposing to do is truly a mixed-use concept, which means that the affordable housing is going to be developed over the retail square footage. And so there's a rendering that I will show shortly here, but right now, based on what they estimate in terms of building for housing units, they anticipate building 60 new affordable housing units over the retail space. They're looking at studio, one-bedroom type of units that will target obviously housing for our workforce and also potentially for students. And so by doing this, it really truly meets the Surplus Land Act requirements. Now, in terms of affordable housing, what is the type of income level that is required? So based on current requirements for income levels, when you're looking at an 80% area median income for Sonoma County, we're looking at, for one person income, about $84,650. If it's two people, about $96,000. So those are the income levels that we're targeting with the Surplus Land Act. And the balance of any affordable units will be integrated on the southern portion of the site when they look at the market rate housing. At this time, what Center Cal is looking at, they're actively working on selecting a housing partner that will have the experience of managing affordable housing projects. We realize that that is a special type of housing management, and so it is important that they work with a affordable housing developer that is experienced in those types of property management services. So this is an example of the so this is an example rendering of what the mixed-use affordable housing development would look like. You can see the plaza, you can see the retail surrounding it, and then I don't have a pointer, but you can see that on top of the retail, there is the housing incorporated into it. And this is truly, again, going to reflects a mixed-use type of development project. So this is, again, preliminary renderings. There we go, yes. I don't think Hannah's going to take care of it. I don't have a pointer, right? And Mayor, I have a quick note here that somebody parked next door. I know the chief just mentioned somebody parked next door in the apartments and they're towing their vehicle. So if we can have whoever parked
in Bella Creek.
Yes.
Black Jeep in Bella Creek, we don't want to see you get towed. It's private property. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, thank you, Chief, for the announcement.
Please.
Thank you. So this is a preliminary rendering of what again, the integration of the affordable housing project with, including the center, the plaza, and obviously the retail development. Then we have the hotel project, which is again another major component of the site. And the way it's positioned at this time is in close proximity to the Smart Line, again, giving access to that particular hotel and of course the entire site as well. Then we have, there was some preliminary based on the environmental impact report that was done. And again, keeping in mind that we are going to do an updated traffic analysis, but we did want to indicate that when the previous traffic analysis was done, there was several improvements that were suggested around the site. And as you can see here, there was an approximate value that was placed on these improvements out of approximately $9 million, and we're actively pursuing funding to be able to complete this and assist the development, which was our commitment when we issued the request for qualifications to support and assist with the development to invest in these offsite improvements. And as you can see, there's signalization, there's pedestrian improvements, various improvements throughout the site that are really going to make it accessible and safer for members of our community to access the downtown site. Then we have, the city has been doing a great job of trying to set aside funding. I mean, I know that this project has been anticipated and the city has been working on it for several years. And so there has been money that has been designated and set aside to support the development of the downtown. And so right now, in total, we have identified $7.2 million. As you can see, there's various funding sources, restricted funding sources that are available to us to be able to develop. There's approximately $2.2 million that we have in the downtown fund itself. There's infrastructure money that is set aside, $1.3 million. The Rohnert Park Foundation has also set aside funding, $1.2, and then we have various allocations from the money that we get from the tribe to be able to assist us with this. And then we also have $1.6 million from Measure M that are available, again, restricted money for infrastructure. So in total, we have approximately $2.2 million to be able to support and assist the project. Yes, 7.2, approximately 7.2 million. Yes, okay, thank you. And here, the major aspects and critical alignments that need to happen, again, we mentioned that there's a requirement that the city has to comply with the Surplus Land Act, is being able to have the plaza, the affordable units be able to be built in accordance with the retail commercial development. In certain cases, this can be a challenge because being able, to be able to have the financing, to be able to meet the timelines, it is a major requirement for a project. And we are very fortunate, again, that CenterCal figured out a way to be able to meet these critical elements of the project. So we're very happy that they've been able to align these major aspects of that downtown site. All three basically have to be able to align in order for us to be able to be in compliance with the Surplus Land Act. And that's very important with this particular project, is that we do meet that. It's a major requirement that the city has been, being that we are the owner of that property. Other important actions that need to happen and that CenterCal is very much aware of and that knows that they need to comply with is we made a commitment that we would continue meeting with our community to receive feedback. And the plan is to hold at least 2 to 3 community meetings to give our members of our public an opportunity to provide feedback as they continue developing those design plans. Our goal is to hold our first meeting in January, and we will again make sure that we put information out inviting the community to participate in these community meetings. They are required to have a dedicated website specific to the project to be able to issue information on community outreach, also various, project updates, engagement. This is also an area where for any kind of, contractor that is interested in knowing how they can participate in this project, information will be provided in this website, and it's going to be a very transparent process that CenterCal will follow to make sure that the community is informed. We did receive a grant of $250,000 from the Metropolitan Transportation Commission to study the site, and so we're currently working in that process. Obviously, specifically the area they're looking at is the parking that we have on site. Given that we are located next to the SMART train, they are looking very closely of what are we going to do in terms of parking requirements. And so we were fortunate to receive that grant, and so we're working on that particular aspect of the project. And you just heard the presentation. One of the commitments that we made as part of this process in the request for qualifications was that we explored the possibility of an enhanced infrastructure financing district. I shared with you earlier in an earlier slide, there's several infrastructure improvements, off-site improvements that need to happen. And so being able to look at the feasibility of either it's an enhanced infrastructure financing district or any other type of financing district, we are exploring that, and we made that commitment. So I'm very happy that we are also doing that, and we have started, and so I appreciate the council's support in that regard. The other, and this isn't actually a program that not just benefits CenterCal, but as you saw within the Enhanced Infrastructure Financing District, there are various areas throughout our city that can benefit from redevelopment and just new development throughout the city. And so one of the programs that we're looking at, which is very helpful and resourceful now that we don't have redevelopment agencies, is a fee deferment program. So what does that mean? It means that we allow the project to proceed and we allow to defer development impact fees up until the point where they're getting ready to get their certificate of occupancy. It is not a waiver. We are not waiving fees. This is simply just saying, okay, you can start your project, and before you get your certificate of occupancy, you can pay the city the deferral, the development impact fees. And so this is just another tool that we have to be able to encourage development. And so those are actions that our staff is working on to be able to support, again, not just this downtown project, but other projects that the city could see in other areas. So what are some of the closing conditions of the purchase of this property? So we're going to follow all the required closing conditions for any type of commercial transaction. But in addition to that, the city will not turn over the property to CenterCal unless they have met certain milestones. And when you look at these requirements, CenterCal has to be ready to go. They have to have their design plans. They have to have the building permits ready to go before the city turns over that property, the property to them. So this is a major requirement before the city sells that property to them. As you can see here, they have to basically receive all their entitlements. They have to have their final maps, creating the parcels to be transferred, building permits required to start construction. They have to be able to demonstrate they have the financing to be able to develop. Again, all those pieces that you saw, the retail, the affordable housing, the hotel, it is important that they have the financing to be able to develop. They cannot be in default under the disposition and development agreement, meaning that they just have to file and record the final map. They have to execute public improvement agreements, post their performance and payment bonds, secure all the entitlements, building permits, and everything that the city is requiring in terms of demonstrating that they have the financing. And they also have to be able to meet the Surplus Land Act requirement, and then they also have to be able to provide to us in an acceptable form the construction contracts that they have for that project. So these are, again, very important conditions, and which clearly demonstrate that the city does not turn over the property to them unless they're ready to go. And so this is a major requirement that CenterCal will need to meet. In terms of the construction schedule, I know we have heard that, is it really going to happen? Is the city really going to do this project? Well, here's the proposed construction schedule. And believe me, Center Cal, and we talked about earlier, it is an aggressive timeline. It really is. But we have seen from their projects, Center Cal is able to deliver, and so this is their proposed construction schedule. In terms of the residential, and you see the retail and the residential kind of following the same track, starting in January of 2027, with an end date or approximate end date of August 2028. Then they start obviously with the residential and with the hopes of finalizing that on September of 2029. And then we see also the hotel project being started and end date of August of 2028. So just a couple of years. And so what we have is, depending on the council action today, we have about a year to 18 months to be able to finalize the negotiation and bring forward to the council the disposition and development agreement that will further expand these the terms that you saw summarized in this presentation. So what is the recommended action? Is for the council to consider adopting the approval of the draft conceptual design and non-binding preliminary stage term sheet prepared pursuant to the exclusive agreement to negotiate between the City of Rohnert Park and Center Cal Properties LLC for the development of 6400 State Farm Drive. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam City Manager. So the way we're going to do this is first we'll hear from the public. Can I get the public comment cards? And then we'd like to invite the developer up to say some words after the public is done, and then council will begin its deliberations. Let me just quickly count the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have ample time for everyone. Everyone will get 3 minutes, and we'll go ahead and start with, I'm sorry, what's that? Okay, well, then perfect. We'll start with Steve Keith, please. And then after that, Antonio Mencarini. 7 more? Okay, I think we still have enough time. If not, I'll ask the council for an extension. Thank you. Welcome, Steve.
I'll be brief. Good evening, Mayor, Madam Mayor, and staff. Thank you very much for in-depth report. Very thoughtful, and I'm glad you were in charge of it. Some of my questions were already answered, so I'm kind of scroll through this real quick. One other concern that I had, I understand the tools you talked about to entice developers. I've been going to these long enough to see developers come back and say, hey, we've been trying for 5 years and we can't fill retail. And they've changed developments and taken retail away to fill it in with a little bit more housing. There's still a chunk of land down at the edge of town that doesn't look like it's going to be filled with retail. Retail that's currently in the city, there has been some struggles. I know it's just a preliminary kind of a conceptual design, but I thought at my count 17 restaurants was confident thing to suggest. So I guess I wanted to know if you could bring up, discuss the methods or the tools that would be used to entice retail to fill those spaces so we don't end up with a lot of empty spots. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Antonio, please. And then next up will be Michael Smith.
Good evening, and thank you for the moment. My name is Antonio Mencarini. I'm a 25-year resident of Rohnert Park, G-section. I'm here in support of the resolution to approve the draft conceptual design for 6400 State Farm. About 10 years ago, the removal of the redwood trees and the demoing of the buildings happened. This area remains open. It remains to be an open concrete slab eyesore. Last year, I was impressed with Center Cal's presentation of their design concept. They've shown that their product looks really nice in other markets. I'm happy that the city has selected Center Cal as their developer of choice. And this is where the hard part starts, right? The construction will bring jobs to the area, as well as the mixed use will help promote a healthy micro economy to our area. So pretty excited about it. Thank you.
Next up, Michael Smith, please. And then after that, Dave, and the last name starts with a G. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, Council, my name is Michael Smith. I'm here representing UA Local 38, Plumbers and Steamfitters Union. Before I was a union member, though, I was just a little kid growing up in Rohnert Park. My family moved here in 1979, and my family's lived here ever since. My mom worked at State Farm when I was a kid. I have fond memories of running up and down the aisles visiting her. So this community, this city, and this property have a deep place in my heart. The community is excited about this potential that this project offers, but they're also a little bit nervous. I mean, can you blame them? The threat of an out-of-town contractor bringing in their labor force from the Valley, from Stockton, from Modesto to take our jobs and our potential earnings, our opportunities back home with them just isn't right. This is supposed to be our city center, our downtown, our opportunities. If you want the community to be excited and engaged with this project, if you want them to return and spend their hard-earned money here, you have to let them build it. The community deserves all the benefits that this project will create. Let local hire be a priority. Let prevailing wage be a priority. Let the community take advantage of the apprenticeship opportunities that this project will create. Let the community be proud of what is built. Let the skilled and trained labor force who lives here build this. Please do not let these opportunities be taken from the men and women who live in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dave, and with a G, sorry, and then Grace Yang after that. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and staff for a few minutes of your time as I share not only the business elements, but the personal comments of the energy our projects bring to all. My name is Dave Gildersleeve. I'm the Vice President of Construction from CenterCal Properties. I've been with them for 10 years, and I was a contractor that did their projects for 15 years prior. My comments are really about the energy that CenterCal brings to the communities that we build in, and the great energy I was met with as I entered this room, and the gentleman that I think he's left now, but that was just, for me, it's such a wonderful thing with the state of our site, if you will, or the things that we're living through, and it's great to see the DEI that's here in front of us, and it provides, for me, it provides a great energy of what we're about. CenterCal brings a plethora of experience in creating magical places that foster a place for community gathering, enjoyment that's full of energy to all ages. My testament is that my bride and I enjoy being able to experience our developments as customers, to experience the community, to meet people that we've become friends with. And most important for me is my bride and bonus daughters are both Savans, or all three of them are Savans, and spend a few weekends a year here enjoying the Russian River Chardonnays. Thank you for the consideration and trust in improving our journey together.
Thank you. Grace, please, and then after that, Kathy Slack.
Hi, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I'm Grace Yang. I'm the Vice President of Leasing at CenterCal Properties. At CenterCal, our core value is to create magical places. That means that every one of us at CenterCal show up to work every day with the goal of creating a central gathering place that fosters connection, enjoyment, and belonging in our communities that we serve. From our marketing teams, who throws hundreds of marketing events a year at our properties, to our development, construction, our operations teams who collaborate to create the coolest common area experience, perfect for this weather, this environment. I, with my leasing team, hope to achieve this with every restaurant, boutique shop, spa, fitness center, tenant we bring to this very special community. We aim to create a downtown that Rohnert Park can be proud of, that you can call truly your own. This is about giving Rohnert Park a heart, a downtown that feels alive every day, not just a place that we go for big box shopping, but also a place where memories are made and where community thrives. So I've already started speaking to some of the super regional restaurateurs, the fitness tenants, and some of the national tenants who are so excited about this project. They believe us, Center Cal, because of what we have built in the past. They know when we say we're going to do something, we seek out to do it. So they trust us within the retail community. And I wanted to share how excited we are and how humbled we are to provide this for Rohnert Park, but how excited the retail and tenant community are to want to be here, because there's a really big hole in this market. They've been looking for a very long time for something special, and now is the perfect time. So I'm so excited to be here, to be working on this project with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kathy Slack, and then Pat Miller. Good evening, Kathy.
Good evening. I'm Kathy Slack, CEO of the Rohnert Park Chamber, and on behalf of the Chamber, we can't tell you how excited we are for this downtown, and we hope to be a tenant, fingers crossed that we can. And also, as founder of Party on the Plaza, this will be the 16th year, we also hope to move that on over and hold our summer Friday night concerts and farmers markets over there. So we couldn't tell you how excited we are. And to be the only town in Sonoma County to have a 21st century downtown is going to be extremely exciting. So thank you. We are on board. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pat Miller, and then Jake McKenzie, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I know most of you. I realize today that I've been a resident of Rohnert Park for almost 50 years. And I'm a real estate broker, and I've been selling Rohnert Park for about 37 years. I'm representing the Rohnert Park Cotati chapter of Realtors tonight. We are also excited to have Center Cal come into our community. And we'd like to be a part of some of the decision making. We'd like to have some input. One of the things Rohnert Park needs is no more townhouse-style construction, 3 stories tall. We need single level, please. I'm begging you. We're an aging community. Build 3 stories with an elevator, and please build us some single level homes that our aging community can move into. We're losing them to Cloverdale. We're losing them to Henderson, Nevada. We need to keep our residents with their families. The other question I have and comment is, please consider or do not consider Mello-Roos. I don't know if many of you are aware of how difficult Mello-Roos has become. Due to delays at the assessor's office, when these people purchased their homes in the new neighborhoods, the land was assessed at the bare land value. It has taken the county 3 years to get the assessment bills out to the residents. They're getting hit with $10,000 assessments that is not tax deductible that they have to pay for Mello-Roos. So please, I'm begging you, we're trying to sell K-section homes and we can't sell them with Mello-Roos taxes. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Jake McKenzie, and then Jennifer Litwack, please.
Yeah, Jake McKenzie, 1536 Gladstone Way. Mr. Mayor, council members, staff, I am going to be mercifully brief. I will just congratulate you on getting to this point, and I will say to you that devil indeed is in the details, a lot of which were laid out earlier on. There's a long history with the development of this land. Some of it not particularly happy, but I think you find yourself in a much happier place with Center Cal, and I wish you all the best in these years to come. I will be delighted if this project is completed by 2029. That's a real challenge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Jennifer Litwack, please, and then Stephanie Hall.
Hi, good evening. Jennifer Litwack, President and CEO of PEP Housing. I'm joined here this evening with Harry Coffey, the board chair of our board of directors. For those that don't know, PEP Housing is a nonprofit affordable housing developer located here in the Bay Area. We are here to voice our support for this recommended action. We wanted to put a little bit of a face to the residents that reside in affordable housing throughout Sonoma County. So of our residents, of which over 700 reside in the county, about 95% of them are single income earners, making mostly by Social Security income. So their average income annually is under $20,000. And 90% of our residents are at 30% of AMI. We have about a 5 to 7 year wait list for any of our residents to get into one of our housing units. We quite literally cannot build housing fast enough. PEP Housing is a developer, long-term owner, property manager. We do compliance, resident services. So we, again, are in support of this action and really encourage the city to maximize the most amount of affordable housing that could be put on this site. With it being TOD, transit-oriented development, we think there's a lot of opportunity to perhaps increase the affordable housing with density bonus, TOD bonus, and are just really excited about this project and the much needed affordable housing that it'll bring to Rohnert Park. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Stephanie Hill, please, and then Michael Dahlk. Hi.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Hall. I'm a union electrician with the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 551. I've lived in Sonoma County almost my whole life, only moving away briefly because I could not afford to live here. The only reason I was able to come back to Sonoma County was because I was accepted into the apprenticeship program here. I've driven past this site many times wondering what will become of it, and it's exciting to think of the many possibilities of sustainable local jobs this project has the potential to provide. It's critical to ensure locally hired workers and local apprenticeships are utilized to people just like me and give them the opportunity to work in their backyards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael, please, and then Jessica, Councilman.
Hi, Mayor, City Council members. Thank you for having this meeting. My name is Michael Dahlk. I'm a union electrician, apprentice, third year. Me and my wife bought a house here on Santa Alicia Drive, so we're really close, walking distance from downtown. We're super excited. We're hoping you guys hire union electricians and support that. That'd be really good for the community and also for neighborhoods and everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Jessica, please, and then Joe Tremaine, please. Good evening.
My name is Jessica Coleman. I am an electrician with the IBEW Local 551. I am a third-year apprentice that live here. I live here in Rohnert Park for the past 3 years. I'm in support of the downtown development, but there's got to be locally hired workers who've had sustainable jobs, utilization of local apprenticeships, as we are the only local electrical apprenticeship here in Sonoma County, and the use of skilled and trained workforce and the enforcement of the state prevailing wages and electrical state certification. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joe, please, and then Jared Mumm.
Good evening, and thank you, Council, for the opportunity to speak. Couple of terms I want to throw out here that are super important. We're talking about this project that's the decision of a century. What better to build this decision with skilled and trained workforce? Skilled and trained, outlined by journeymen, journeywomen, of which we have scores of members in this community alone, which is pretty fabulous. Also involved in that is the apprentices that will go through the 5-year program, be able to live, like Michael just said, and work in Sonoma County. They'll come out of that apprenticeship program with health care for their family, a pension where they can someday retire with dignity. The next term is local hire.
Thank you. I didn't realize your mic wasn't on. You have a good booming voice. Sorry about that. Jared, please welcome, and then John McIntyre. Is it? No, is it okay? All right, let's go ahead and restart his timer, please. Please, of course.
I'm that guy, right? Ooh, there we go.
There we go.
All right. Up, down, right? So I'll take the family up to Windsor Town Green, see the farmer's market, whatever's going on, spend a couple bucks, go home. Like, that's the whole point of having these types of spaces, right? And it would be great to have the option of coming to Rohnert Park and doing that here as well. However, when I look at the plan, the lack of any labor standards is glaring. You know, developers and contractors are very, very good at doing what they're directed to do. And to be fair to them, if we never tell them that we care about how a job gets done, then why shouldn't they literally just use the very lowest bidder? Despite everyone in this room knowing that there are plenty of contractors out there willing to undercut responsible employers, but taking the difference out of the hides of their workers. They can do it cheaper by hiring folks from Sacramento or Fresno or Florida. I've run into folks from all of those places here. And they can exclude our neighbors. They can make their workers dig in their own pockets or take out loans to go get scammed by for-profit electrical training schools. They can play little games and ensure that their workers don't have health care or don't have any kind of retirement plan, right? It's our responsibility to make it clear to everyone that that is not how we want these projects done. I would encourage you all to develop and require some kind of labor standards package for this project. Requirements for things like local hire, apprenticeship utilization, skilled and trained workforce, prevailing wage, those are all a great place to start, right? Developers deserve to know very early in the process what we expect from them on these types of projects. We've been presented with a beautiful vision. It looks great. It's a pleasure to be back here talking about developing the space again. I was here for the, the Rohnert Park Station, like you all were. So it looks great. Let's build it. Let's build it responsibly and intentionally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. John, welcome, and then Matt Krupp, please.
Good evening again, Mr. Mayor, council members. This is an incredible opportunity. My name is John McIntyre. I am lucky enough to serve the women and men of IBEW Local 551 as their business manager, and I'm here to represent everybody, that could be associated with a project like this, and I really appreciate the presentation, with everybody involved. And Senecal, welcome to Rohnert Park. I really hope that you do go with local union contractors. We have a tremendous workforce here in Sonoma County, in Rohnert Park. There's several people several contractors in this area that do this great work, but also several members, union members, that live here in Rohnert Park and travel a long ways to go to work every day. And it would be a shame for them to drive past this project for the year and a half, or a little over a year and a half, watching this project getting built and them saying, why not me? We've all been paying our taxes to Rohnert Park. We love the city. We live here. We want to build it now. You won't have an issue with the carpenters, with the electricians, with the plumbers, with the sheet metal workers, with everybody that's in this room. Any union contractors, any union members are exactly, looking to come here and build here. We've been talking about this for way too long. In Sonoma County, the electricians have the only apprenticeship program here in Sonoma County, in the North Bay. It would be a shame for the electricians, for the apprenticeship program, to not be utilized on this project. We had over 350 applicants last year to our apprenticeship program. When you whittle it down, we only put 36 to work out of that 350 that applied to our program into our first year class. That's all because of the lack of opportunity, potential opportunity. If there was more opportunity, and this is what this project represents, opportunity. If there was more opportunity, then we would be putting more apprentices to work. Rancho Cotati High School, the other high schools locally, come to us asking to be part of our apprenticeship program. They come to us asking to partner with us to say, hey, can you take our CTE kids into your apprenticeship program? We want to do that. We absolutely want to do that. The only way we're going to do that is through opportunity, through building. This is that opportunity for Rohnert Park. I hear you, I see you, I hope you're listening to us. And we'll be following the project, and we look forward to meeting with you guys.
Thank you, John. And then Matt, please. And then Gary Bierbauer, please. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, City Council. Thanks for letting me speak tonight. My name's Matt Krupp. I've lived in Cachati, Rohnert Park now for 25 years. And it's funny, I drive up and down the 101 corridors, part of my business, every day. And I've always appreciated Rohnert Park. I've always appreciated the progressive attitude Rohnert Park's had, but it's always missed a downtown. It's never had a downtown, and I see other cities that get to thrive with downtowns, with active downtowns, and it's just been a long time coming. A lot of people say, you know, good things come to those who wait. There's been a bunch of different people that have circled through this potential development, and you guys did a really good job of your vetting, because CenterCal, they're the right people for this project. Like I said, I've done a lot of research on them and how they try and build communities, not just shopping centers. And, you know, that sounds corny, but there's really something to that. And I think they're totally committed to that. So anyways, I just wanted to say that I'm such a supporter of the project, what it can potentially bring to Rohnert Park. It's been such a desperate need. I mean, to have 30 acres of an infill project sit vacant for 15 plus years is such a shame. So please approve this project. I wish CenterCal the best. Thanks.
Thank you, Gary. And then finally, Mark Orloff. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Bierbauer, Sheet Metal Workers Local 104 Business Rep. I am born and raised in Sonoma County. I would have loved to build a project right down the street from my house. Thankful for the union. I own a house here. This is great. I have 9 members here that all are local, and they would love for that same opportunity. Putting labor standards in would be great. Local hire, prevailing rate, skilled and trained. You guys mentioned tight schedule. State-approved apprenticeship with skilled and trained. That's how the tight schedule gets done. So, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening. Mark Orloff, F Section, current chair of the Planning Commission. I've seen a lot on the Planning Commission over the last 7 years as the longest current member. This is an exciting moment. We've seen a lot of starts and stops, and I just want to commend Marcella, her staff, CenterCal. I think this is going to be a great project. I can't wait to help it along as a member of the Planning Commission. I really look forward to working with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public before I ask the developer to step up? Yes, please, sir. Since you didn't fill out a card, just please tell us your name.
Sorry, I didn't see any left.
That's okay. Welcome.
So, my name is Aureliano Ochoa. Let me spell that for you. Aureliano. Last name Ochoa, O-C-H-O-A. It's a difficult one. So, I'm here representing the heat and frost insulators. And I just agree with my sister and brothers that just spoke before me. And I think it's a great opportunity for our local members, also NOMA members that we have. And it's a great opportunity as if you build something locally, like I just put this as myself. When I walk by something that I built or I did, I feel so proud that I have the opportunity to tell my kids I built that, I did that. And it's something that like every time I just shake every time I tell that story, because I just felt that. The other thing is give the opportunity to the people who's working to come back home early, to be able to pick up the kids from school, to spend the afternoon. We're tired of going to the Bay Area, San Francisco, San Jose, Sacramento, come back, get a stock. Guess what? It's 9 o'clock. Go back to sleep. So if you guys just build a union, we have the people. I'm Mexican. I have like 200 family members here in this area. I can build that project with my family. Make sure you guys do a union.
Thank you. We evidently saved the best for last, that's for sure. Madam City Manager, before I invite the developer up, would you like to make any response to any of the public comment given?
Yes, of course. And I would like to say, and I really appreciate our labor group representatives being here. Thank you so much. And I know that they are an important part of our fabric of our community. We are happy that they're here and that they're willing to work with CenterCal, just like CenterCal is willing to work with them. I'm sure you'll hear from them. And one of the things that I just want to reassure the community with respect to the labor workforce protections, that was a major piece that when we were developing the request for qualifications, we inserted in that request for qualifications. So CenterCal, or obviously that was the initial direction that we gave to any developer that was interested in this project, because that was extremely important for us, because as was pointed out, we want to make sure that our residents that work here can get to their families at a reasonable time. And so that was something that was important, that was initially included in that request for qualifications. And so very clearly we stated that early on, and that is a message that has been loud and clear with CenterCal, and I'm sure that as they come up, they will be able to emphasize that. And so I just wanted to make that point of clarification. Also, as you saw, the city is also committing to assisting with offsite improvements, which will be prevailing wage work. And in addition to that, part of the requirement of the terms in the future disposition and development agreement is CenterCal will be relocating a water line that is currently on site, and that will be required to be paid prevailing wages. And so there is components to the project, and as the project continues developing, there could be other aspects, right? I mean, this is just the beginning. That's why it's called a preliminary term sheet, because as we continue working with CenterCal, you know, there could be other aspects that the city or developer could potentially see in that project. But I just wanted to emphasize again that from the early onset of this project, as we move forward with the process, labor protections has been a major element of this project. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And now we'll invite the man in the hot seat up. Welcome. Welcome, Scott.
Well, good evening, Mayor, council members, staff, and most importantly, the community here tonight. We really appreciate the enthusiasm that you guys are all bringing to the project, and this is a huge part of why we're interested in being partners with you guys and trying to bring this vision to life. My name is Scott Bohr. I'm the Vice President of Development for CenterCal Properties, and I'm the lead developer on this project. Can I ask a favor? Can we get the image of the project back up on the screen while I'm speaking? Is that possible? No. I know we have the technology. We got through our microphone issues. Now we have, perfect.
How about that one?
Awesome.
Is that the one you want?
Well, let's go to the rendering if you could, and we can
okay.
Go back to, fantastic. Thank you so much, Marcelo. Another brief introduction, because it's been a little while since we've been here, as you guys are well aware. CenterCal Properties has been around for over 20 years, and we are 150 passionate placemakers. That is what we are, that is what we wake up, that is what we breathe, that is what we do every day, from our landscape technicians to our property general managers, all the way up to our CEO, John Paul Wardy, under his leadership. We are focused on building magical places. You guys got to hear from two of my esteemed peers that are here tonight that are shared in that enthusiasm of what we do every day. We have over 20 properties in over 6 states. I know that some people in the audience and some people on council have had the opportunity to go to our properties, and I hope that you've seen that the commitment to the quality of what we do isn't just upon delivery. We operate these properties long-term, and we operate them in a way that really does become the vibrant heart of the communities that they serve. We have a reputation for delivering unique and vibrant mixed-use developments, And Rohnert Park is an opportunity to exceed, I think, many of the projects that we've done in that regard, a chance to do something truly special. Some people say once in a century opportunity, and I don't disagree with them whatsoever. We are beyond excited to be able to be a part of it. And you'll have to excuse me for having a smile on my face for the rest of the night, because I'm just very excited to be at this major milestone for this project. We were here last August, and we were chosen. We got to have the opportunity to execute an agreement shortly thereafter, and we've been chomping at the bit working on advancing this project since that day. Quick update on what's been going on since we last saw you guys. You guys, I have to say, when I see that timeline up on the screen of going back 15 years, right? Like the vision for this project started so long before our involvement and long before many of the people on this committee's involvement, of a city that wanted a downtown, that committed to the time, the money, the effort to do the long-range planning, one of the most powerful tools the city has at their disposal in understanding the environmental impacts of a potential project and laying the groundwork for that vision. You guys are lucky as a community. I've done a lot of development over my 15-year career, and I have never seen a city council and a staff be in so lockstep of what the vision is, how are we going to get there, and to take it into your own hands of actually acquiring the land and going through the process, the very rigorous process that we went through to be selected, is just, it's really inspiring, and it's something that I have not seen anywhere else. And so you guys, again, are very lucky, and just want to acknowledge the team up in front of you guys for their hard efforts. Over the past year, we've learned from the beginning what that vision was for this. This is an opportunity to create a walkable, sustainable, vibrant heart for a community that doesn't have one to date. When I first moved to the Bay Area almost 15 years ago, I was amazed with these downtowns. I grew up in Southern California. There aren't really downtowns. These are sprawling master plan communities, and it's something that is so special for the Bay Area. And from my time in the North Bay, very quickly learning that Rohnert Park was one of the communities that lacked one, it's just exciting to be here today to try to bring that to fruition. We heard from council on their priorities regarding local labor and unions, and we've had the opportunity over the past year to engage with over a dozen representatives from local labor groups, as well as union contractors. And we look forward to continuing that part of the engagement and making sure that we do take advantage of, as my peer Dave Gildersleeve will attest to, the deepest pool of labor and the highest skilled labor available through union groups. So we look forward to continuing to engage in this process. It's a long road ahead, but one we hope to expedite with the city's support. We've heard from the community over the past year on what type of tenants you want to see, what type of project you want to envision here. And most importantly, you're looking for an opportunity to spend your time and your money in Rohnert Park, not going to the Barlow, not going to Montgomery Village, not going to downtown Santa Rosa, but a place to call your own, a place that represents the community and the tenancy. That's one of the things that I'm most proud of, especially of my colleague Grace Yang over there with our project Bay Street, Emeryville. When you go there, you see one or two names of national tenants. When it comes to the food operators, you see a very thoughtful and intentional merchandising mix of local and regional restaurateurs that we believe are really truly the magic special sauce of these projects that makes them unique and makes them special. And again, we've had the chance to engage with labor groups and understand your priorities for the project, and so we appreciate the enthusiasm, and it's amazing to see so much support out here tonight, so thank you again for that. The project that you see before you has adapted a little bit since the last time we presented. If you do want to go to the site plan for a brief moment, we've reoriented the main plaza, which is one of the biggest priorities for the city through the RFQ, to maximize the amount of retail that's touching this central plaza that will be, Kathy, the downtown plaza, Christmas tree lighting, summer concert series. We're ready for it. That's what we're known for, and that's what gets us excited in the morning. You'll also see that we have intended to create this gateway effect coming off of Rohnert Park Expressway. We've heard the city's concerns about parking, and we think that we can work through that through special attention to landscaping. But the goal of the project, and sometimes it's hard for even myself to really understand what you're looking at in a 2D sense. So Let me walk you through a little bit of how we imagine this project operating. Those two buildings on the central north side of Rohnert Park Expressway, that is the gateway to the project. And that is the opportunity for the community to come in, to make that right turn, and to immediately be transported into downtown Rohnert Park. The buildings are facing each other and facing inward, so it's meant to create this high street effect that you get when you go to downtown Santa Rosa, to downtown Petaluma, where it really feels like an authentic street grid where a community would go to spend their time. The reason that the parking, we intentionally really pushed the parking as much as we could on the outside of the project with the goal of making parking convenient from the site access, getting you to a parking spot, getting you outside of the car, and letting you spend the rest of your time on site walking the property versus a shopping center where you're literally getting in your car to go to the next store. That is the opposite of what we want to create here. The hotel is positioned in a way that we think this can actually be one of the premier locations for tourists in Sonoma County to come for their stay. Lodging is an extremely challenging thing in the entire North Bay and in the wine region. And there's just a lack of quality experiential hotel lodging, and the interest from the hospitality community has been very strong. And so we think that that acts as a secondary anchor to the project, really bringing people from outside of not just the region, but from the rest of the country and the globe who come to wine country for a premier experience to put Rohnert Park on the map and to be the most centralized place that people can come to land, to at the end of their wine tasting journey, come back, park their car, and spend the rest of their time in the evening on site in downtown Rohnert Park. We talked a little bit about the residential. You know, our focus, and one of the things that really drove the amount of time it's taken to get back in front of you this evening, is making sure that we can adapt the project timeline and phasing to deliver the affordable housing as a part of the first phase of the project. The balance of the project, you know, we've been listening and engaging with the community on what they want to see for that, and we've heard rental, we've heard for sale, townhomes or condos. We've heard a desire for amenities, for a higher amenitized project that really doesn't exist in Rohnert Park today. And so what we hope to do after, with any luck, a successful approval tonight, is really dive in on what we can provide there, in focusing on the highest mix of different uses that we can bring to the community to really allow the broadest demographic to come be a part of this project. The city's a tough negotiator, I gotta say. You guys have Marcella on your side, and you know, the city council as well as staff has really done their part in ensuring that this project does execute on the vision of delivering amenities to the community. Between the 1 acre park, the opportunity to replace the water line, the opportunity to deliver affordable housing. We didn't really talk much tonight about the creation of jobs, both construction jobs and permanent jobs, increased tax basis, not to mention getting rid of a blighted 30-acre hole in the very center of the town. Can I get an amen from you guys? So we're here tonight to humbly ask for this approval for the next step of this project, to be able to step forward with confidence that the city's vision is intact, that CenterCal is still the right fit. You know, I think it was Susan's analogy of dating, and I'd like to think of this as a formal engagement, and giving us the approvals we need to continue advancing design, to kick off community engagement in January, which we are very much looking forward to understand even more deeply what you guys want to see in your downtown, and to deliver, not just for Rohnert Park, but for Sonoma County and the Bay Area writ large, a beacon for what smart growth, transit-oriented growth, sustainable growth, mixed income, truly mixed-use housing can look like in creating this vibrant destination that you guys deserve for your daily needs all the way to spending life's special moments. So I'm here for questions, but just again, could not be more excited and more humbled by your trust and hopefully moving this project forward.
Thank you, and I'm sure there will be questions from my council, but please, thank you. And actually, before I turn to my council, I'm actually going to kick this one off myself. So you didn't think I was going to avoid that? Psych. So first of all, thank you and thank everyone at Center Cal for all that you've done. Certainly touring your properties was a great experience. Thank you to the city manager. You're right, she is a very shrewd negotiator, right? Not only bringing a $400 million project to Rohnert Park, but retaining 1.5 acres so we can expand our corporation yard, for not turning over any property until you actually pull building permits, for negotiating the, the relocation of the water line, for us maintaining control, programming control of the city square. That is all amazing, and that is all attributed to Marcella. You have set this table very well, and the process has been seamless, from the RFQ to visiting the various developers. And honestly, for me, going up to Kirkland and seeing the quality of the craftsmanship of the building, being able to walk those streets and saying, yeah, is this, I mean, it was, I don't want to use Disneyland as an analogy, but I think I share that with all my council members, that we were like, wow, this really looks and feels like a downtown. And I think it was the first speaker who said from your company that, yeah, Rohnert Park, first of all, has always had a lot of heart. We just have never had a physical manifestation of that heart. And that is going to be what this project gives us. It was fortuitous, although challenging, that the HCD changed the Surplus Lands Act. But quite honestly and selfishly, yeah, forcing you to build that commercial retail up front, which is what the people of Rohnert Park want, that's really important. And then the cleverness of your design features of putting the affordable housing above the retail, so that those folks who are a little bit economically challenged can have an amazing quality of life. I mean, finally, for the first time, right? It's not just the rich folks that can afford this. It's everyone, and that view is going to be, amazing. And then you're right. It's a true transit-oriented development. And what impressed me about your development up in Kirkland was that 80-20 rule, right? We saw Trader Joe's, we saw Whole Foods, we saw Apple, we saw, I forget, Lululemon and all those others. But we also, as we toured, I'm like, well, who's that? Well, this is this local kind of famous restaurateur, and he does a really good job. So that 80-20 and incorporating local folks, local businesses, is great. Your willingness to work with the labor unions and the understanding that a lot of this is going to be built with skilled and trained workforce. It just is. It's going to give everyone in our community a sense of pride. I think one of the labor folks was pointing out, I live 2 blocks, or I'm on Santa Alicia or what have you. I can, yes, I can walk past there and say very proudly, I helped build Rohnert Park's downtown. So sometimes Jackie gets emotional. I'm going to get a little emotional here, because I'm telling you that we have been living, eating, and sleeping this for many years, and I think that tonight this will be a true engagement party. So I hope you have a ring, right?
Let me go into my car.
But I don't have any questions, only because I've been involved in this for so long, but I'd like to turn it over to my colleagues now and start with questions and/or comments. Please, Council Member.
And can I just say that our own Dave Gildersleeve was behind Totem Lake that you guys had the chance to visit. So you made his year with those comments right there. So.
Thank you very much. They're old saying, the third time's a charm. This is our third time to try to get engaged to somebody. And so on behalf of the council, I will just say we are, and I'm sure they'll confirm this, we are thrilled to death that you're coming. I had an opportunity to travel with Councilwoman Elward to Station Park in Farmington, and Mountain View Village in Riverton, and of course we rotated up into the village at Totem Lake, especially Station Park at Farmington. That had a downtown Disney feel that really threw me. I thought, if we get something half as nice as that in Rohnert Park, the people in Rohnert Park are going to be very pleased. So I thank you very much. It's so funny to hear you say, with any luck, you'll leave here with a deal tonight. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I think we're looking good here. I would add my thanks to our city manager, Marcela Piedra, too. I was in the room when she was hired. She was brought to the city because she had great economic development chops. And we've all watched. This has been a very brief 3 years of going from having to get the Surplus Lines Act information taken care of to where we stand today on the verge of a term sheet agreement. And each member of the council has had an opportunity to take us through one of these phases. I want to just reiterate a couple of things that I've heard here tonight. One is the absolute importance of your continuing to work with our local skilled and trained workers. That's a very high priority for us. It's a very high priority for me. The second thing is, we heard Pat Miller from the realtors, representing the realtors, that she would like to see one-story units so that we can have some people who retired live here. And I think that's super important as well. I also think it's important to try to have some units for sale if that's possible. I know that there's going to be a lot of changes. I look at this design here, and I don't know, the mayor and I probably, this is the 8th or 9th design we've seen. So we understand that it might change and want to let other people in the community know that it still might change again, because you might come along with something that's going to be even better than this. I want to just share some comments that was sent to me by one of my constituents. She has visited the village in Meridian, Idaho with friends and family. And here's what she said. She said, I admire the style, atmosphere, and the family-friendly design. The combination of high-quality aesthetics, the seasonal ice rink, playground, and gathering spaces creates such a welcoming environment. And it would be wonderful to see the same level of thoughtfulness here in Rohnert Park. Again, from what I've seen of your work in these other places, I think that's what we're going to get here, and I'm excited. She said that year-round, she hopes the design includes features that encourage gathering and community. Again, what I've seen in your other projects. A beautiful water feature. I know the one that Councilman Elward and I saw. You had a water feature, I can't remember where that was Farmington, where you walked along, and as you walked by, water came up and responded to the motion going by. I mean, it's such a little teeny tiny thing that is going to bring joy and a smile to so many people coming together, as you say, to feel those wonderful family moments, to the gathering, to the graduations, the wedding celebrations, the baby showers. Every time you get together with family, I think this is going to be a wonderful place for that. She talked about the beautiful water feature, the classic street clock, possibly honoring some of the founders of Rohnert Park with the help of the Rohnert Park Historical Society to get some of that information there. A space for movies in the park, an area dedicated to our current traditional festivals and farmers market, which has been mentioned here as well. She said these type of amenities will help create a vibrant, walkable, engaging downtown that residents of all ages can enjoy while maintaining our growing city's long-held traditions. I'm excited for the curated restaurants. Somebody did call me today and said 17 restaurants. Do we have 17 restaurants in town now? This is going to be very exciting for us, and I'm anxious to see how that plays out. I thank you so much for your time of honoring us with working so intentionally with our city manager. As you know, we've all been had a wall between us and you. I love to get on the phone and just chat with people, and I've been true to my word. I haven't talked to Scott until I walked in this room tonight. It almost killed me a couple of times, but I think you've done a fabulous job, and yes, I agree to an engagement, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Elward, please.
Thank you, Mayor. When people put trust in you, when you got elected or put in a position of trust, one of the things that they really look for is accomplishment and keeping your promise. I know every time when I talk about accomplishment, my heart beat really fast. And yes, the mayor was right. This has been a dream of our city, our entire community. And they're all in here, representing one way or the other. You heard them. This is their dream. This is their project. And sure, we weren't sure if this project was going to be a reality, but we are getting very close to that reality. And I know that I have some of my constituents that spoke to me today who are older. They say, well, there's a hope I will see that downtown being built, don't it? And that is the kind of thing that is priceless. And also, for you guys to come and work with the children of this community, the people of this community, that is one of the legacy and part of the history that no other community will have. For me, it's rare to see the CEO of Chamber of Commerce to come to something like that and have a smile, right? So that is an indication that we are tight in Rohnert Park. They trust us, we trust them, we deliver. Political will is to deliver. So for me, I know this is gonna be built. 2029, we're gonna have our first Christmas light out there, our farmers market, maybe sooner. But as emotional as I am, I know that it's transparent to my colleague as well, is because we have a whole community looking into this project, looking into the future, and looking into the memories for those that will build, for those that will enjoy, and for our realtors that will be able to sell, and for our local businesses that will be able to create an environment that will bring laughter, joy, and I don't know.
Magic.
Magic. The way we saw what you built in Utah, in Seattle, and you're bringing here, my hope, sincerely hope, is to have this community in here participate one way or the other. Not saying 100%, but to have the dream come true, to participate in building the downtown. No pressure whatsoever. But as a representative, I feel like that will be like a request. They are here, they're staring at me right now because that is what they are looking for. All of them are here. So it's up to you to keep that promise that you just said, because, you know, we have a former council member that made a comment earlier, but this time, the third time, is the charm. So if you can deliver that for our community, I am all in. And thank you. Welcome to our community. You are part of it now. So
all in.
All in.
Thank you, Councilmember. Please, Councilmember Rodriguez.
Thank you. I want to really start first with thanking Marcella. She came onto the city 6 months after I did, and I came on about a month after this property was actually purchased. So to come in, I mean, we really kind of just pushed you into the deep end with this and said, hey, by the way, we're gonna do this downtown. It's been incredible to watch and to see how quickly it is moving, but not without care. You took the time to engage with the labor groups, engage with community members who have heard of concepts for a very, very long time and haven't seen it in fruition. Yes, there's been discussions, but the city did not own this property until 2022. It's only been 3 years that the city has been in charge of this. And here we are possibly getting engaged. So I really want to thank you and the staff for all the hard work. I know it's been a lot of hard work. It's been a lot of questions. It's been a lot of presentations, and not just from questions of the dais, but really listening to the community and taking what they say into account, as well as listening to us and taking what we say into account, but kind of wrapping it up and really bringing it to the forefront without shying away from that. So thank you for that. I'd also like to thank Scott. I think he got a little taste of that last time you came and you stayed and you said, I'll be right here if you have questions and you can take my card. So I think you got like possibly a little taste of how much this community cares and the ownership that they're, you know, kind of letting Center Cal know, like you're coming to our city and this is what we expect to see. With that, I will say I heard from community members of, oh my gosh, he was so nice and he answered all my questions and I told them we had this idea and that idea. And so I think that just shows a bit of the alignment of Center Cal and the city of Rohnert Park. As I mentioned, we've only had it for 3 years. So under Councilmember Elward's mayorship in 2022, it was purchased. Under my mayorship in 2023, we put out the RFQ with input from labor unions and community members, business owners. In 2024, under the mayorship of Councilmember Adams, we selected Center Cal, and now under the mayorship of Mayor Giudice, we're hopefully getting engaged, and we look forward to hopefully breaking ground for the next mayor. I have to agree with what Mayor Giudice said. We were partners in this, and so we both went up to Kirkland, and I'll give you that credit too. You and the team answered a lot of my questions. I always have questions, and I always said, well, what about this? Have you worked with labor unions before? Yes, we have. We've worked with CalPERS. We've worked with, we'll meet them at the table and have those discussions. What do you do about if we don't want any more box retail and we really want it to be local? We've done that too. As mentioned, it was highlighted, this is kind of a local chain, right? We have Mary's, we have Starts, we have all these great restaurateurs in Sonoma County. Rohnert Park currently is the only place without a tasting room, though. I'll just put that in there, in wine country. And we have a great wine business study program over at Sonoma State. And so I just appreciate that. And it's interesting because we never had a downtown, but the way Rohnert Park was built was 8 sections surrounding a school and a park. So we kind of had 8 mini downtowns. And so there's a lot of community care and involvement. You'd be surprised, there was a suspicious car by my house just yesterday, and the amount of phone calls that came in of like, I don't know if you're working from home today, just making sure you're okay. We've never seen this car before, right? So that's just to talk about the tight-knit community that we have here, whether it's kids growing up together and going to school together, playing sports, coaching our sports, whatever it may be. There's a lot of care and again, ownership in this city and community. I would like to say, kind of going back to the regional restaurateurs, and I will always push this myself, especially as the representative of the historic District 1, the first area built. We have our very own Pasta King Arts Place in town. Are we making room for them? The Diaz brothers, Kyoto Restaurant, I think is currently our longest. Kathy, maybe you can correct me on this one as our chamber CEO. If not Kyoto, then Tubby's the longest standing business in the city of Rohnert Park. Where's their involvement in this, in their care, as they've fed this community for decades? Sam's Mediterranean, Waterhawk just came, sisters to Brewster's in Petaluma, Turmeric, who provides free community meals. And, I've mentioned before, we don't currently have a locally owned coffee shop. How are we making sure it's truly locally owned and not, oh, Bay Area, they live in Berkeley and they run it here. I have nothing against Berkeley, it's just an example. But truly locally owned and capturing what I believe the essence of Rohnert Park is. I'd also like us to consider, there's a beautiful, beautiful home next to mine. I think it might have been the first one built in the city. The new owners really captured and updated that home to capture the mid-century feel of Rohnert Park. I'd like to see something like that and not have us look disjointed. You go to Petaluma, they have this great historical, right, view, and you see these beautiful buildings that kind of all flow together, and I think that's a little bit of what's missing here. I agree with the one level, not just for retirees, but for people like me who don't have cartilage in their knees, and going up and down stairs is very difficult. And also a census that tells us our average age is 35. You have a long aging community here, building families and businesses and making sure that they're included in that. I also want to make sure that we're looking at arts and murals, that we're being true to the history of our indigenous community here, being on the lands of Great Rancheria, the history of the Chinese Americans that cultivated this land, speaking with our local AAPIC, NAACP, Latino Alliance, and especially Sonoma State University. One question, I believe this will be more for our city managers. My concern, and usually is with these developments, is how are we as a city, because this will be a gem. How do we make sure that we're not driving through potholes to get to that gem? What are we making sure when, in that terms of infrastructure, right? That our roads are still being maintained, that we can handle the water lines with more visitors coming into town. I think we're gonna see great things with that hotel on the Smart Line, especially with the last mile for the airport. You know, people are realizing Santa Rosa is kind of nicer to fly into than having to fly into the Bay Area, then drive up, and being able to shuttle into the Smart Train and take it down the line. That's my concern, is that we're making sure that we're capturing the culture and also maintaining sustainability and infrastructure. I look forward to seeing how the rest of this unfolds successfully, and making sure that the city, and when I say the city, the residents, the community, have that ownership as well. Because I'll tell you, if they don't like something, they'll definitely let you know too. So I really appreciate you guys, and similar to Councilmember Adams, I also did not reach out. It was very difficult because there's always these questions and you're like, well, what about this? And don't forget that. And so we did a good job. Michelle, if you're watching, we miss you as well. We did great. And I think that's it, is just that question. I'd like to make sure that that's on the forefront, that we're also taking care of that.
Thank you, Councilmember. Vice Mayor, we'll let you finish us off.
I'll keep it brief. You've all covered the things that I wanted to hear too. We've had to temper our excitement for a really long time, even sitting up here tonight, right? You're feeling a little, I just want to jump out of my chair. I'm thrilled because we've been waiting for so long. And it really did take a perfect alignment of leadership. Thank you, Marcella and staff, and of course, the political will of the council, but also the creative drive coming from Center Cal. And, you know, you've gotten a lot done in 20 years. I don't think I would have been as excited as I am if I hadn't seen it in person. It's really, once you've had a taste of what it's like to have a downtown, you get downtown envy real fast. So, yeah, I'm just so excited to see it to fruition. It'll be really interesting to see what additional input residents have at those community meetings. I hope it's small stuff. I anticipate it'll be small stuff, but they're very passionate and very deserving of this central space that our city desperately needs. And I'm excited for it to really uplift the entire community, not just the immediate area downtown. So thank you so much for being here to share this vision with us.
Okay. Upon that, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution for adoption 2025086, approve the draft conceptual design and non-binding preliminary stage term sheet pursuant to the exclusive agreement to negotiate between the City of Rohnert Park and Center Cal Properties LLC for the development of 6400 State Farm Drive.
I'll second.
That has a first and a second. We'll do a roll call vote for this one, please.
Yes.
Councilmember Elwart?
Yes.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Sanborn?
Yes.
Mayor Judice?
Aye.
Wow,
Motion
you guys,
passes.
thank you
5-0.
so much.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna take a 10-minute break, but before we do take a 10-minute break, we're gonna take a little picture, and we're gonna invite anyone and everyone from the community who wants to come up and take the picture with us. Come on, let's do this Rohnert Park style.
Come on up, everybody. Thank you guys so much for your trust.
That one? You want it off?
No, the one that.
You can't escape this one, Marcelo. Get up here. All right, everyone. We'll go ahead and bring this back and say thank you again to the community who came out tonight. Would like to get the council back up in their seats. Or not.
I wanted to take a picture. You look like that the whole time. It's like.
All right, we'd like to bring it back and thank everyone for attending. I need 2 more council members up here if we can. Okay, everyone, welcome back. And once again, I just want to say thank you to the public and thank you to all of our friends and the developer and just everyone who participated tonight. And thanks for staying for that photograph. We'll bring up next item on the agenda. And I think, Madam City Clerk, are you going to carry this item?
Actually, I believe it's going to be presented by the city manager.
Excuse me. Please proceed with your report.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mayor and council members. The next item is a consideration for authorizing an increase to the budget for our District 1 Councilmember Rodriguez, who recently traveled out of state for a NAACP California-Hawaii State Convention. And after I conclude my presentation, I will give her an opportunity to report on that particular travel. But as required by the City Council expense reimbursement policy, any out-of-state travel or any necessary budget adjustments have to be presented to the City Council for consideration. And Councilmember Rodriguez's travel was approved to attend this conference as explained in October. And her budget is currently in need of approximately $1,636.40 to cover some of the partial expenses for her travel. And if I may clarify, for this particular fiscal year, given our fiscal challenges, we did reduce the council budgets from 4,000 to 3,000, and I know there had to be some adjustments, and so now we find a need to be able to assist with that shortage that she has in her district budget. In the past, what has happened is council members, if they have balances within their own budgets, sometimes they offer that to be able to cover any potential shortfalls that may happen, or we can also cover it through the city manager's contingency. And so there's options that the council have. And so those are the 2 considerations for covering this shortfall that we have within that District 1 budget for Councilmember Rodriguez. So that concludes my report, Mayor, and at this time you can consider action, or you may allow Councilmember Rodriguez to provide additional information related to the travel.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you for the report. Before we do that, is anyone from the public who'd like to comment on that? Seeing none, what's that? They did all leave. Well, Kathy's still here and Steve's still here. That's not true. I will turn it over to Councilmember Rodriguez. Would you like to report out now, or do you want to report out during communications?
Yeah, I just want to give a little bit particular to this, and
please.
You know, yes, the funding was reduced in a little bit, as well as, and I've given this feedback to our chapter. There was a little bit of a delay, which obviously makes costs go high because we didn't have a clear agenda. So it became this like, does it start Thursday? Does it start Friday? Where are we doing? And once we got that with the help of our wonderful admin, Nancy, we were able to get me booked into a hotel just off the Waikiki Strip. The conference was over at the Sheraton Waikiki. There was 4 chapter members from our local NAACP chapter that also attended. And just, everybody loves acronyms, but the NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And this was the California-Hawaii State Convention. So California and Hawaii share their state conference. And so we were able to go out there. It was the first time in 25 years. I kind of opted to go to this as opposed to our League of Cities event so that I could engage more with our community, see any other missing parts that we have, and I'll talk more about what we discussed at the convention, but it was great, and I think it's a great opportunity. I also did kind of take the opportunity to reach out to local electeds in the area, so I got their county city council on the island of Oahu, and I was able to meet with 2 of those council members. They introduced me to their director for the Office of Economic Revitalization, and so I ended up having a meeting with her. We also discussed some stuff that's going on with the Kamehameha schools. I'll talk more about that later, but and also I got to meet with a few folks from the University of Hawaii, although at a much larger scale than us. They are also a community with the university in town, and how does that work? What are they doing? What kind of partnerships? So they learned about our SAFE program. So it kind of brought in quite a bit of connection and communication. They're actually going to connect me to their chamber as well, so we can have some other discussions. But yeah, so I'm just thankful for the opportunity. And then, yes, between the reduction in our budgets and then a little delay in being able to get booked for the lodging, that's why we are here.
Thank you. Thank you, council member, and it sounds like a very great trip. And well-earned. Any other council members care to?
I'd like to make a motion.
Okay, but before we do that, any other council members like to comment?
I was second.
Evidently not. Okay.
I'll comment. Wait, I want to throw in a comment.
Okay, we've got a first and a second. Let's proceed with deliberation.
Work backwards.
Go right ahead, Vice Mayor.
I just wanted to say that, a lot of times it's tempting to do the same conference that we all do every year together. And I love that you branched out and thought, what could I do differently? What might I gain from being in a different setting with a different group of people than I always go with? And I'm really glad that you did that. So that's all.
Perfect.
My only question is,
sure.
Yeah, my only question to follow up is, how do you figure out where you're going to take it? Do we say that just you can take it from mine, or who's left? City manager, maybe you can answer that question for us.
Do you need that direction now?
It really depends on each council member. If you are willing to consider providing a partial contribution from your budgets, I know that our city clerk has provided, as she routinely does, what your current balance is on your budget. As I shared earlier, your budget was reduced from $4,000 last fiscal year to the current fiscal year to $3,000. So it is really up to each council member to determine if there's a certain contribution you want to provide to District 1 Councilmember Rodriguez. If not, as indicated in the report, we can cover that from contingency from the city manager's budget.
So I just don't know the exact amount. As I sit here, I'm happy to donate part of my budget or to put part of my budget towards that.
Okay.
This is going to sound like a pledge-a-thon. I have quite a bit in my budget because I've only traveled locally this fiscal year, so I can do at least 1,000. Yeah. I've only spent like $300 this year, I think. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor. We can take that into consideration. Thank you.
Teamwork makes the dream work. If I had any money left in my budget, it would be all yours.
Okay.
Councilmember, please.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how much I have also, but I haven't traveled much. I have been doing just local things, so I wouldn't mind also sharing a little bit instead of digging there. So we will save that a little bit for something a little bit more urgent.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. So if I may suggest, given that the three out of the 5, obviously, council members have indicated they're willing to share, we can perhaps split it in 3, the amount that's needed, and then we will adjust your budget accordingly. And so we would just need a motion to do that.
Perfect.
Thank you.
So can you revisit your motion, please?
What the city manager stated, we take that out of the 3 council members, Vice Mayor Sanborn, Councilmember Elward, and myself. And this is to consider authorizing District 1 budget increase for Councilmember Rodriguez out-of-state travel to NAACP California, Hawaii State Convention, and additional networking stay. We'll hear her report under reports. Thank you.
Is the second amenable to that?
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll do a vote of affirmation.
Yes, Mayor, and just for the record, that'll be the amount that the city manager specified, plus up to 20% of the total cost, which is about 273 to cover incidentals. And that will be split between District 2, 4, and 5.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion carries 5-0 with no opposition.
Thank you.
We'll go on to the selection of officers for 2026. May we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is fairly simple, but really exciting. It's a time to select the new officers for the year of 2026. We're asking council to consider nomination and election of the new mayor and the new vice mayor commencing the first meeting in December of 2025.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone from the public care to comment on this? Seeing none, the chair will entertain a motion.
I'd like to nominate Emily Sanborn for the mayor position and Councilwoman Jackie Elward for vice mayor.
I'll second that.
Is there any other motions?
Any other motions from the council? There are no other motions.
So what the following vote is to nominate and confirm Vice Mayor Sanborn as the mayor for the year of 2026 and Councilmember Elwer as the vice mayor for the year of 2026, commencing the first meeting in December of 2025. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes by 5-0.
Woo! Congratulations, Jackie. Congratulations, Emily.
You all seem very excited.
And congratulations to me. Okay, we'll go on to committee and liaison reports. Councilmember Elward, Sonoma Clean Power, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The meeting was really interesting and short because I was the ex-official, the chairman was absent, so I presided the meeting. So we had a few things really quickly that we got updates on our regular routine of the legislative and regulatory items. So one of the things that Sonoma Clean Power has been doing is to help our customers' energy solution. And Sonoma Clean Power has been prepared to launch a long-term customer energy saving solution. So we also voted to terminate the Geothermal Opportunity Zone Corporation Agreement with Chevron New Energies, and we executed the memorandum of an understanding with Chevron New Energy for collaborating to develop geothermal in the Western Interconnection. And that is by the geyser. We were working in partnership with Chevron. They bought a property right next to the geyser and all of a sudden decided to move to a different state. And so to protect the work that our staff have been doing there, we terminated that cooperation agreement, and then we also created a memorandum of understanding to protect the work and also the space that we have been using for a while now. So we have been also growing our team. So Ryan Tracy is our new relationship is our new member, and he will be taking care of everything that takes care of relationship with tribal government and advanced equity for minority group. No, that would be Claudia Sinsufu, that is the person representing that. But Ryan Tracy is the Sonoma Clean Power Growing Relationship Committee. Then we have also received an update on Sonoma Clean Power Authority decarbonization research effort. That has been a very good report, because Sonoma Clean Power has been working with an elite university, and they've been working on different research when it comes to anything clean energy. And that has been really, really productive. And we also approved the parameter for customer rate reduction, and that will start on January 1st. We also approved a second set of parameter for rate adjustment, and that will start on February 1st, 2026. And with prior board decision to allocate 2% of revenue from calendar year 2025 to the local investment fund. So that means that next year, Sonoma Clean Power will be returning to customers $117 million. That has been something that we've been preparing for the past 5 years. We've been putting money aside, so that will not come from our general fund. And also we got a little bit update of our last legislative work. So we had 3 bills that was put in front of the assembly floor, and three bill died, but one by Chris Roger got signed into law, and that was 531, I believe. So it was a little bit of heartache to hear that 3 of our bill died, but at least one got signed into law. So that was it for us for Sonoma Clean Power.
Thank you, Councilmember. Turning to Councilmember Rodriguez, Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, thank you. I realize after a busy workday, I actually missed our directors meeting today, so I apologize, Kathy. But welcome to new CEO, if folks haven't heard, Kathy Slack. Lisa Orloff has retired from that position, but is still part of the org, and so she's Director of Community Engagement, is that? Events and Community Engagement. So yeah, excited to have you at the helm, and can't thank Lisa enough for the work she's done for our community and our business owners. Rohnert Park is one of kind of the top chambers in the area. I've heard from business owners even outside. Their business are unfortunately not currently in Rohnert Park, but they are really grateful for the work done by the Rohnert Park Chamber. Tomorrow morning, they're going to have a breakfast over at Sally Tomatoes with the featured speaker being Sutter Health. So they'll be talking to us as well, and it's sponsored by Individual and Family Support Network. And I think that's that. Nope, we have holiday lights coming up December 6th. So looking forward to that as well. And then plenty of other events that you can find online.
There you go. Vice Mayor, let's hear about the WAC and the TAC.
I have the best acronyms as far as committees go. What is happening in groundwater, you ask? The real question is, how am I going to distill it down into something you can understand? So the Groundwater Sustainability Agency, Santa Rosa Plain Groundwater Sustainability Agency, met on the 30th of October. little housekeeping things. We updated our some of our internal rules to help with efficiency and clarify roles and streamline some of the approvals. It's very challenging, as some of you with larger boards know, to get everybody in the room at the same time when you need to vote on something that requires everyone to be there. Let's see here. We revisited the 5-year groundwater sustainability plan, which is well underway. So that includes updates on groundwater levels, creek health, how their data models are looking and projects are progressing. And that final review of that should be next fall, 26. There's a few exciting projects across the basin, including some new monitoring wells. If you're seeing a lot of activity on Snyder near the high school at Copeland Creek, they're putting in a monitoring well there. Separately doing some tests on water recharge on farms. So, you know, when it rains, how long does it take to get it back in the ground? And on aquifer storage and recovery pilots at a few different sites. They started with 2 this year, one of them here in Rohnert Park. And I think they've got 3 more in the works for next year. I know a lot of us aren't well water users. We're pretty much on city water, but they did have a nice update on a few programs that are available for rural well water users, like resources for basically getting to know your well better, being able to take your own measurements, kind of know what water you're working with, and overall how to leverage the water that you have available on your own land. So there's some tools available at santarosaplaingroundwater.org for well water users. Through grant funding, the Groundwater Sustainability Agency, GSA, has partnered with Daily Acts, one of my favorite groups, to launch the Well-Designed Landscape Program, where basically residential and non-ag well water users can apply to get a customized catalog of projects that'll help them save water and come up with different ideas to reduce the strain on their wells, on their property, and basically cut down on maintenance costs long-term. For the rest of us, though, Daily Acts actually has a lot of great water-saving resources, and also on the Saving Water Partnership website. So if you go to savingwaterpartnership.org and dailyacts.org, you're going to find a lot of ways to save money, save water, save the planet. And let's see here. Oh, I just wanted to emphasize, Courtney's not here tonight, but one of the reflections from Andy Rogers, who's our GSA administrator, was that the collaboration over the past year with the members of the staff in each of the jurisdictions has really been essential and deeply appreciated to be able to get all that work done. So shout out to Courtney and Justin and everyone else on our staff who's doing some deep learning about water and providing technical advisory insights. So next meeting for that is in January. And I will keep this one short. Water Advisory Committee met November 3rd. We approved our calendar for next year, which is always confusing because there's a water advisory and a technical advisory group. I'm the WAC, she's the TAC, Courtney. We appointed a new vice chair, Ron Wellender of Sonoma. Yay, Ron. We got a budget recap for last fiscal year, 24-25, and a peek at this year for the first quarter. Basically, Sonoma Water delivered 5.5% more water than they had originally budgeted. So more revenue for them to go back into those projects, which overall lots of same kind of stuff we have to deal with, aging infrastructure and preparing for the worst and hoping for the best. And then one of my other favorite things in that meeting was getting an update on the multi-jurisdictional hazard mitigation plan. So basically, there's a group of people that have gotten together. It's led by the Sonoma County Department of Emergency Management to come up with, 101 horrible things that could happen, and in what order do we rank them as likely to happen here, and what would we do? And so they're really developing a robust plan. They meet and come up with quarterly goals, and then they actually attain them, which is fantastic. So just know that there's a group of very passionate people out there trying to look out for the overall safety and health of our community's water supply. And the next meeting for that, goodness, February. I don't actually know off the top of my head, but you'll know when I know. That's it.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So SETCA, of course, the meeting was canceled. However, just a real shout out to a treasure that we have here on staff in Edie Takata and all of her hard work in keeping the mayor focused on our priorities up at SCTCA, and just the explanations and her taking the time to really do the deep dive to all of the complex issues that surround SCTCA. And I appreciate all of her help, and I just wanted to give her a big shout out. With regards to Mayors and Council Members Association, unfortunately, I was not able to attend, so thank you to Mayor Mark Stapp for running the meeting. I was giving certificates of congratulations to the Planning Commission, and I'll do the same in a couple of weeks to Parks and Rec, and I thought it was very important that the mayor show up in person to those meetings and to congratulate them on all the hard work that they're doing. We did, however, receive a presentation from the Redwood Empire Food Bank, and I think a big topic of discussion next year is going to be food insecurity and what that looks like in Sonoma County. And so we appreciate the presentation. And when I get the minutes to that meeting, I will report out next time. Now we're going to go to other reports. And would you like to add anything additional to your report, Councilmember Rodriguez? Please. Perfect.
Yeah, now I can go a little bit more into detail about the conference with the NAACP. 4 chapter members, so locally within Sonoma County, also attended. So there was a lot of discussion that we could take back into what Sonoma County doing, what can Rohnert Park do. From their knowledge and in checking in with the president of their chapter, I believe I am their first elected official from the county to attend one of these conferences with them. They've had other folks that either happen to work for a city or municipality go, but it wasn't on assignment from them. So good job, Rohnert Park. The few of the things that they discussed were things like economic development, housing, what we're seeing all over the area. The state of Hawaii is similar to the state of California in terms of cost of living and the expenses, but they are waterlocked, so a lot of stuff gets also shipped in. And there was a highlight, especially for youth engagement. So there was a lot of students that attended this conference, and so kind of let them know, what are you seeing at school? What are you seeing in your community? How can you affect change? And talk to one another, whether it's your school or your councils. The one that I think hit most for me was the emergency preparedness and response. So they had folks from Maui come and speak on a panel. They talked about the cultural preservation afterwards, what it looks like for generations to maintain the land, because a lot of what happens is grandma, great-grandma, grandpa bought the property, built the house, and then generationally just handed it over. Well, then the fire comes through and the paperwork doesn't match the current tenant. And so then how do you fight for that when you've lost everything already, right? So can you imagine going through that and then having to prove that your family has been there for generations and try not to get some outside investor to come and take the land, and it changes the dynamic of the community, and the effects of rebuilding and how much they really cared and asked press not to show up. And part of that is because they were healing. It's like, you've got a camera in my face, you're taking a picture, and this is my whole life, this is my community, this is kind of our soul. And so I had the opportunity actually before leaving to briefly talk with Council Member Okrepke from Santa Rosa. He does a lot of work with After the Fire, and he was one that kind of pushed me to ask more questions of how are they handling that and how do we preserve culture should we ever get in that situation again here, because they saw something similar in Altadena, right? Again, you lose everything and now you have to prove that your family's been here for generations. And these happen to be primarily marginalized communities. So we see how that kind of affects that and affects the unhoused population, cost of rebuilding, cost of insurance. How do you bring back kind of those memories and recreate your community? And then, as mentioned, I took the opportunity and I said, well, I'm going to be out there, and so let me reach out to some of the council members. So I want to thank Councilmember Dos Santos Tam and Councilmember Wire for taking the time to meet with me. We discussed a variety of things. One of the hot topics that we kind of all found similarity in is the difficulty in staff recruitment, but more so retention in government entities. They mentioned, right, kind of like building and permitting. You get them in, you're showing them how to do stuff, and then the contractors come in to get their permits and go, hey, you know all the codes. We'll pay you more and you can come over here. So how do you kind of keep them and say, no, stay, we still need you on the government side. So they're trying to rework what that looks like. I also am very thankful that they introduced me to their new director of Office of Economic Revitalization. They sent an email, well, I think I met with them like Friday, and I met with her Tuesday, right? And so they talked about things, again, much larger city, county, island, but they own a lot of properties, and so they're looking at changing their procurement process, because what they're finding is in order to keep local businesses, if they own the property or a building, they want to be able to lease it, but the procurement process takes so long for a business owner to be able to like go through the whole thing, get access to the building, that they might as well just go spend money on rent with a private landlord and start making money through their business. So they're changing that because they do see how difficult it is for local businesses to thrive and kind of maintain, again, the culture preservation. We also discussed Kamehameha Schools right now is facing a lawsuit. That is a nonprofit that was left out of the trust of, I believe it was one of the princesses, I forget her name, my apologies, with the highlight of maintaining language and culture for Native Indigenous Hawaiians. So they're being sued because somebody who is not Native Indigenous Hawaiian didn't get accepted way back when. And what we discussed was, I found it interesting because that's a nonprofit, not federally funded. And that nonprofit has actually funneled funding to the public schools as well, so that there's still access in the public school area for Native language and culture. And I just kind of see it a little bit in line with, California has biliterate, you got your biliteracy CO, bilingual, dual immersion, and there is some federal funds to our public schools. So what could that look like for us down the pipeline? And I've continued conversations with them to just kind of see how that's going. I also got to meet with faculty and some students at the University of Hawaii. Again, you're waterlocked, and so you're recruiting students over into your area, and how are you kind of accepting them and bringing them in and matching with your government entities of who is your next city manager, who is your next police chief, who is your, whatever it may be, so that there is a consistency there, and also kind of care for community. So you don't want to give, I feel like they've found that balance of supporting and kind of welcoming the University of Hawaii and their students without kind of leaving out the rest of community, right? So it doesn't go too much either way. And so I have more conversations coming with them to continue that and kind of see how we can continue what we do here with Sonoma State. And then I'm looking forward to meeting with their Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce, because we also discussed that there is a large Hawaiian, Polynesian, Pacific Islander community here in Sonoma County and throughout the North Bay. And so how do we talk to one another and kind of continue to support culture and kind of, hey, I'm looking at moving out there and I want to start a business. Okay, here's who you connect with. And so lots of partnership. I got to talk to them about our SAFE program and so they were really excited. So I'm sending over a bunch of stuff to them about that. And so it's nice. They were very welcoming. They're excited. Some of them actually had heard of Rohnert Park, and I was like, no, you guys. I was like, you just looked it up because I emailed, and they were like, no, I have a favorite winery right up the way, and I have stayed over at the DoubleTree, or we stayed in Petaluma, and so it was really just kind of neat to see that connection from them and their staff as well. So I think it was great, but again, the greatest highlight was with the NAACP conference and how much they really put in, and how much they also highlighted the local culture and made sure people had kind of care for that and respect. And so I would encourage us as a city, if we are not, I am personally a member of the NAACP, but I think it'd be great if the city participate in that as well, as it is part of our community, and I think it's a great way of us kind of giving back and participating.
Thank you. That was an excellent trip, and thank you for all of that. That was great, and thank you for representing our city so well. We'll go on to Noontime's networking luncheon. We were presented by Senator Christopher Cabaldon. It was an excellent presentation, and I am struck with all of the work he's doing in the education space. A particular note is a bill that he got passed, which basically, if you have graduated from high school with all of the requirements to enter the California State University system, you will receive a letter in the mail saying that congratulations, that you are accepted to any a state school that you wish to apply for. I think that is going to increase, or CSU, excuse me, sorry. I think this is going to increase enrollment in our universities, and it just removes a very cumbersome process of application, and I think it's going to help our local university as well. Any other comments on that? Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I didn't get to go to luncheon because I went to the Lucien Charla that morning where he also mentioned this, but I think the great thing is these letters are going to go out before the application process even opens up, so they will already be accepted to all CSU schools. Essentially, and they still get the full letter. It's not just okay, here you're in. They get the full letter, and then they essentially just say, yes, I'm going to go to Sonoma State, and they're enrolled. Yeah, I think it breaks down a lot of barriers. I think it kind of lets you kind of go in with a bit more confidence if you do want to apply outside of the state system. And that's that many less application fees, and that's a lot of times a barrier financially. So I think it's great, and I appreciated his acknowledgement as well of he knows he's not from here, and so wanting to learn more and participate more with our community is much appreciated.
Agreed. So we'll go on to communication. Council member, do you want to go? Whoever.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go first.
Go ahead.
I just would like to thank the Department of Public Safety, or not the Department of Public Safety, I'm sorry, thank them as well, but the City of Rohnert Park Foundation in partnership with, I just lost my notes, in partnership with the Rohnert Park Public Safety Officers Association is launching the 2025 Holiday Toy Drive to support children and families in Rohnert Park. This holiday toy drive, cherished tradition sponsored by the POA for 25 years, will continue with the support of a broad coalition of local service organizations, community groups, and volunteers. As has done in the past, the POA Police Officer Association will take Santa's sleigh out, weather permitting, and collect toys, and then Marcella and her staff are basically becoming the North Pole here, where the gifts will be brought from not just that, but there'll be barrels all over businesses all around town, and we have people giving money to help buy gift cards for the teenagers. And so that process is about to start now. So I just wanted to thank you.
Sure, and I'd like to add to that. So Marcella and I were in a Rotary meeting last Tuesday when the announcement was made, and immediately we met with the Rotarians afterwards, and the group of community groups that came together, and I want to call them out: Rip City Riders, the Rohnert Park Cotati Chamber of Commerce, Cotati Rohnert Park Unified School Districts, the 3 Rotary Clubs, Active 2030, and the Education Foundation of Rohnert Park Cotati all came together, as we always do in this community, to support each other in a time of need. So it really was a great community effort, and honestly, thank you. Thank you very, very much, Marcella, because you really kind of crystallized that for us and brought us all together, and it was through your leadership that this all is happening, and every kid's going to have a good Christmas. So thank you, and thank you, Councilmember Adams. And who would like to go next?
I just also like to add thank you very much, Marcella, for kind of the quick thinking and stepping into a void that was left when that announcement was made by the POA. I am glad to hear that they have decided to join in the capacity that they can, because it is has always been volunteer done, and it takes hours and time and commitment, and so I don't negate that from them, but I appreciate kind of the fast thinking and without us even realizing the forward thought to set up the foundation to be able to accept donations. We did that thinking, right, for future emergencies, and here's where it's a great way to work that also helps the POA facilitate those donations that come through so that we can continue this toy drive, so that the, you know, kids still get some magic here in community. I'm going to go into I have a lot more communications now, so
go right ahead.
So we got City Toy Drive, which is, again, amazing. We're also collecting for NOAA. I just saw the bin right outside here in City Hall. NAACP is doing a turkey distribution. You can find more from them online. It's a first come, first serve. The Rotary Club is partnering with the city, and we will have Thanksgiving at our senior center, as we usually do every year. Credo High School is having a succulent sale. Reach out to them. Great centerpieces for Thanksgiving, or hostess gifts. Century 21 on November 30th is doing a brunch with Santa, if folks are interested. And Turmeric is also doing a Thanksgiving community meal. You can find more from them. And then I want to give a huge shout out. I think that this is an incredible thing, especially during these times. The Vida's legal team was granted $100,000 to continue doing the hard work of immigration defense. And they got that from the Impact 100 Redwood Circle. So congratulations to them as they continue doing that work. A note about our Rohnert Park Expressway lights. The lights are up. They are not going to be up at the top. A lot of that has to do with staff safety and also more visibility for the lights. So there's still lights. It just looks a little different. And so we're excited for that. And then I would also like to thank Nicole. I apologize, I can't recall her last name, for collectively also kind of jumping in and filling in the void of a, I would say our misstep. Although us as a council didn't make the decision, we are still here and part of our city as well, of the cancellation of Veterans Day. I am proudly a family member of somebody from every branch of this nation's military. So it's an important day for me and my family, as I know it is for this community. I know I know we have at least one veteran in the room right now. I have like 5 neighbors that are veterans, but either way, Nicole just kind of put the call out there, and I think that that's another testament to our community, that when they see a void, they just kind of say, let's get together. And we were able to wave the flag, and we were joking because there happened to be a flyover as well. So we were like, oh, wow, Nicole, like you got the flyover going here. It's going great. It was unbelievable seeing the kiddos out there. And the flags that were put up there were also a fundraiser by students at Lawrence Jones Middle School. And so you can purchase a flag to have out there every year as well. So we look forward to doing it again. It's been over 20 years, I believe, of us doing the Veterans Day event, and look forward to seeing, how we just continue and honor the veterans who definitely allow, I don't take it for granted, for me to sit up here and be able to have the rights that I still have, and continue to fight for future generations to have rights as we see things going. So I will end with that.
Thank you, council member, and thank you for those eloquent words. Any other communication from the council? Okay, items add to a future agenda, anyone? Okay, one final shot at public comment, and we're going to recognize Kathy Slack, please.
Thank you. I wanted to invite you all to Holiday Lights, December 6th, as we've said. It's 5 to 7:30, and we want you all to be there. Somebody's going to light the tree. And on another note, the chamber has been selling booths and sponsorships, but all the booth money from Holiday Lights is going to go to buy toys. And today, I think we were up to $1,170. So, and we're going to collect toys we'll start tomorrow with the breakfast. We're bringing the bin. People don't know yet, so it'll just be an introduction. We'll have that. We've traditionally gathered toys at our holiday luncheon, which is December 3rd. And people can donate toys. They can also donate money and gift cards. So we'll make sure to let them know that. And we also will have a Women in Business luncheon that's the holiday gift swap thing that's kind of fun. So that's coming up this December as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Kathy, and congratulations again as the new CEO. Anyone else? This meeting is adjourned.